All right, so we'll call the meeting to order at 1:01. The town of Smoky Lake respectfully acknowledges that we are situated on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional lands of First Nations and Métis. And I'd like to move to the adoption of the agenda. Dawn?
I had a couple of additions and a couple of moves. One actually also came from Deputy Mayor Prosecutor Zaruski to add 13.1 Go East Edmonton letter of support. The council will consider the reconsideration of the Lot 2 extension of the development permit to a shorter timeline.
Okay, and
So
that
we
was,
have to reconsider the motion and then discuss if. So right now I'm just asking for the reconsideration of the motion to be added to the agenda.
okay, and
To move it
that,
to 3 months out instead of 6. 13.2.
or just another addition, okay.
It's not already on the agenda?
It's not already on the agenda, so yes.
Okay,
And then 14.6 enclosed, if I could add development, section 16 to 20.
Okay.
And then I'd also like council's consideration to move 7.1 and 11.1 to the top of the agenda to follow at least the first delegation, but before the public auction for consideration.
so prior to 4.1?
So to move, yes, move 7.1 and 11.1 to follow at least the first delegation, but be before 2 p.m.
Okay,
Be
okay,
completed before 2 p.m. for the tax auction.
okay.
And that discussion you may want to be closed.
Okay. Any other additions or deletions? Oh, sorry, Mary.
So for addition, under, I believe would be 14.7 at this time. An update or, Highway 2863 Water Commission update. In closed session, Voight, news Voight number 27, privileged information. And for amendments for council consideration, I would like to change 7.10 in front of 7.9, being that I think the decision of council could impact the work plan on 7.9.
That is just to, we've already have the motion to sell it back or to buy it back. It's just the dollar amount. So one actually doesn't impact the other. So we purchased the lot. The motion was made at the last council meeting that we were going to purchase it back. Less the amount that was in the agreement. So whether or not we do the utilities, we're already doing the refund. You can move it, but it shouldn't impact the other.
Okay, then we'll leave it as is.
Okay.
So in terms of budget, it wouldn't impact if there's a,
No.
and the last, I guess an amendment, and I can get some feedback on this one. I'd like to pull 12.3 or 12 decimal B to 11.5, as it's a monthly report from MPE. And I think we might have some questions. I don't want to just file it for information. And then if it is earmarked as a monthly report, we would probably consistently have more reports to follow as it's a project. And I believe Merrick spoke a little bit on behalf of something in Red Deer pertaining to that. So I would like it pulled from this file.
So the MPE, so we'll add 11.5 MPE report from 12.1.
Would that be okay with everyone or? Yes, thank you. That's all for me.
All right. Evelyn?
I have two items. One, it's flowers for Lydia Seelan for retiring. What we did. Retirement flowers for Lydia Seelan.
13.3?
Oh, no.
13.3
That would be new business or
related to plastic
Late.
additions.
Yeah. I guess so.
and development officer position.
Enclosed or an open?
Yeah, I guess in a way it's a combination of both, because there's what we can just, what we've always done, discuss the generic position. And then I guess that, I guess under your direction, maybe you'd say, well, we need to go into close to talk about that. So I understand why we talked about the actual position. And I'm not talking about the gentleman in the
Yeah.
position now. So that's to talk about it in your posting. But I do believe that, yes, you're going to say at one point go into closed session. So I just want to make sure that instead of doing it all in closed session, that we do the portion in open.
There were no others. I'm not saying make a motion. Carrie?
I move to accept the agenda with the additions and alteration.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. So we'll move to the adoption of previous minutes and action list, September 23rd, 2024, regular council meeting minutes. Mary Ann?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So at this point, I do have a couple questions about the minutes, and first one is, for clarification, who is the recording secretary? Or do we have two people, or,
I think we have it on there, don't we?
Yeah, we have
Recording
Crystal.
secretary, yeah.
and at one point,
Carly's our legislative assistant and she's also training, learning how to do minutes, because she does them for our other committees such as physicians tomorrow. So, yeah.
thank you. So then if I was to move to, page 10, it's my belief that the context of motion 480 is not correct. I believe that it should read, that there will be a presentation to the Town of Smoky Lake Council prior to the Smoky Lake County, et cetera, as nothing's being presented at this meeting, which the motion says, and it was, the context of that is incorrect.
But it's how it was stated.
Which motion are you
Number 480 on page 10.
in? Okay,
But we can make sure it comes to this council before it goes to other councils, but the motion is the motion. You can amend the motion. But we can make, we're coming November 4th. The only reason she's not here today is she's out of town. Otherwise, it would have been today. We will make sure it comes to town council before others. But the motion was to do all four.
So in the motion that's written on page 10, and not to be combative,
Nope.
but there's no identification of the Town of Smoky Lake.
And present at the next regular council meeting. That's at the bottom of the motion. That's what was added, is to also present here. Right? Do you want more? You could clarify the motion if you wanted. You could we double check that motion. Did we double check that motion?
Pretty sure that was
Verbatim, and that's what we're supposed to document is verbatim what the motion is. What I understood, well, what the motion was, not what I understood, what the motion was is to present to those three, but also to the council. So that's what our plan is, but I can make sure that the town says first. We also have an active motion pushing this to ICC, so that's already in place.
Yeah.
We just wanted to make sure everyone was up to date on all the ins and outs of what the
Yeah.
regional meant. But we're planning on coming November 4th, and then hopefully the other councils in November.
Okay, and so when I read it, I didn't see, it said administration is presenting at this meeting.
Yes, and unfortunately Rochelle's not here, so we ended up moving it to the next council meeting, yes.
Okay. Thank you kindly.
She had another work commitment, so,
Okay.
yes.
And so then we did the page 21 to admit the second 13 and 14, or 13.3 and 13.4, because we think it's maybe just software.
Yes.
Okay, and, and that's all I have for the minutes, please.
All right. Were there any amendments? No, so we can adopt it as presented.
With removal of 13.3 and 13.4, yeah.
Edwin, that would be your motion.
Sorry, I'm still trying to get into my computer because I changed my password and I'm actually sitting here going through all my passwords. It's working now, so, but if somebody else could take this, I'll take the next one. Carrie?
I'll move to accept or adopt the previous minutes and action list from September 23rd, 2024 as amended.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. All right, so we'll move to September 23rd, 2024, regular council meeting action list.
You just said action.
I did. Sorry.
Oh. I heard that, but I thought you made a mistake. Okay. We'll move to delegations. So we have town resident Mike Lansky.
You guys are ready?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, council. I'm here to speak to you about the tax sale on the truck.
Can we please do introductions before every single delegation? And then if you wanna,
No, I'll sit here.
okay. But can we please do introduction?
Go ahead.
Okay, hi, my name is Evelyn Copes, town council.
Terry McLeachik.
I know the rest of you. We're good.
Proceed.
So I'm here this afternoon to rescind the auction sale on the property 55 White Earth. That's slated today for 2 p.m. I have a tax agreement terminating notice here in my hand, dated April 25th. We went into the agreement on February 26th of this year to pay a monthly payment of, I believe it was $1,064, which was agreed to by Don and by Tamara. At that point, I expressed that I wasn't going to be able to make it until I got my old age pension, which came in, I believe, the end of June or mid-July. At that point, I came in and made the $164 payment, but I was told by Tamara that it was too late and that I had to give money for the gas bill. Well, I didn't agree with that because I felt that the most important thing to me was to show the town council and the people in the office that I was prepared to do what I said I was gonna do, and I did. So then when we came back later, Tamara said it's too late, the place is going up for auction. And I don't feel that for a moment I lied to anybody in this room or anybody in this office, including Dawn, her staff. I've always been very open and transparent. My intention is to get this property taxes paid. I'm not gonna go through the difficulties I've had in the last year, I'm sure everybody here knows. But in the same token, if we look at the tax amount, which I believe Don's around 40,000 now, that's 60% interest on that, penalties, criminal. And something has to be done about that. And, you know, when you guys all ran for council, you all said you were gonna make something different here. You know, I don't blame nobody else for the position, man, except for myself. And I take total responsibility for that. But what I want council to do is to reactivate this $1,064 a month on their arrears. And looking forward, because my intention is still to pay the town off. And Don, you know this, I've never once denied to anybody that it wasn't gonna be paid. But if it does go for sale today, I have nowhere to go. I need this place, I'm not gonna lie to you, I have nowhere to go. So at the end of the month, I get my check, I think it's on the last Wednesday of every month. So by the end of the month, the first, I'll come in just like I did, and I'll make that $1,064 pay. And I don't have to remind anybody, over the years I've been here, you know, I've invested well over $5 million into the local economy over the years I've been here. Not just properties, but, you know, local businesses, UFAs. And that's not going with Terry and Harvey Crosby's $200,000 that they got a judgment against the judge by lying to me. I accept that. I'm good with that. But what I'm saying is my full intention is to pay this. Full intention. And Don told me, you know, if the town, if there's no sale, the town gets it back, potentially they're gonna tear down the building. That's ludicrous. It's a perfectly good building, you know? And I believe that I should be able to stay there till April to prove to you guys that the payments are made every month. If it's not, Dawn can let you guys know or whatever, that I reneged on my part. But up to this point, I don't believe I have, because I came with good faith to pay it. And it's always been my intention to pay it, so basically what I'm asking you to is pull it off the sale today. And let me proceed what we had agreed on in the beginning, $1,064. I'll come and sign the paperwork later this week or whatever is necessary for Dawn to get the paperwork done. That's it, that's all I gotta say.
And thank you, Mr. Lansky. So you mentioned, you referenced that you have a letter in your hand. It's a letter of,
So it's a tax agreement terminated. So it says that I terminated it we wrote it on the 26th of February and the 25th of April, they terminated it. And I came and talked to Tamara and I said, listen, because she kept phoning me, well, when's the payment gonna be made? I said, I don't know, I've been phoning the federal government. You can't tell the federal government what to do. They'll give you the money when they're ready. I mean,
so then,
I tried to give answers, but I couldn't.
thank you. And then just to confirm, it's a letter of termination.
Yeah, it's a
For your
tax agreement from the town.
Thank you.
So what was the agreement to do monthly payments?
Yep.
Were any payments made at all?
Well, I came with the first, once I got my first,
No.
Yeah,
On the
well-
26th of February, you
Yeah.
made an agreement to
Yeah.
do monthly payment.
right,
So when were the payments to start?
I would assume on the 1st of March,
Okay, were there any partial payments made?
there was none because I had no money. And it was already agreed to that once the money got in, I would pay whatever.
Is that in the agreement? Is that in the agreement?
What's that?
Once the money came in?
Oh, I don't have the agreement in front of me. This is just the agreement termination notice. That's all that is. However, I made that completely clear to both Dawn and Tamara. And if it would have came in sooner, it would have been in March or April, I would have came in as soon as the money came in. I would have got it done.
And that was on? When you
When it
made your
came?
first payment on the
I
agreement?
think it was in June. Terry, I don't have it in front of me. But when I came in to make that payment, I was told that the utilities of $1,084 had to be paid first. And I said, well, I'm sure we can work something around the utilities because I wanted to get a record of getting this tax arrear payments on record,
So what was paid on that date
the $1,084.
towards the taxes?
No, towards, I wanted to pay towards.
No,
taxes.
I'm just
It
asking
went
what
towards
was,
utilities,
okay, so 1,064 went to utility,
no, 1,084.
84.
1,064 is what the town agreed to do monthly payments on, which I had no problem doing once my pension came in. And I still don't have a problem.
So have any of those 1,064 payments been made since?
No, because Tamara said it's too late, you guys are selling this place. Which I expressed to her that I wasn't, I wasn't happy with that.
Yep, thank you.
Yep.
Questions? We. Yeah, no, we don't
No,
need to
'cause we-
here.
The,
Come back.
7.1 is what we moved up, so that's where you'll make any motion.
Okay,
But we moved it to all the delegation.
I think we move to the next delegation. And
It's like, as long as you feel that there's enough time to get through the delegations before the tax action.
no,
Well, I do have our delegations here.
yeah, I know, I'm just talking. You were very well.
No, I think we should go into 7.1.
11.1?
Yeah.
What do we have moved up?
Yeah.
Oh, I would recommend you go into close.
Yeah. Okay, well. We'll make a motion to go into closed session, or we want to make a motion. Mary Ann?
I move that we go into closed session at like 1:21 p.m.
Okay, all in favor?
And under Floyd's, number 716, privileged information.
Winter harmful business interests.
And that one.
I don't have it written.
FOIP section 16, disclosure harmful to business interests of a third party.
That's the right one.
Personal, I'll be silent 17.
Okay.
So I told you it was 17.
Personnel, employees, section
17.
17, disclosure harmful to personal.
Which may delay our delegation, sorry.
Got a motion, come out of close, Terry,
I'll put them under close.
all in favor? None opposed, so carried, and we'll move to 7.1.
Right here.
Yes.
Evelyn or no? Evelyn got it?
You're making the motion for 7.1?
Yes.
That town of Smoky, I'd like to make the motion that town of Smoky Lake take no action regarding the request to enter into another tax agreement with the property owner located at legal description lot P1, P2, block 4, plan 803 CL, and proceed with the property in the public auction for tax recovery.
And there's no further discussion, I'll call the question, all in favor? And none opposed, so that'll be carried. All right, well, now for our next delegation, 4.2. Sharon Boychuk, president of the Smoky Lake Agricultural Society.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think I'll see you.
Would you like a
Say
second
something.
chair? I can bring the other chair over.
What if I say something wrong with that?
I'll move my chair. Oh, no, this is how. If you like, we can do a quick introduction. I'll start with Evan, if you want to.
Hi, I'm Evelyn Coates.
Terry McRachel.
Hi, Sharon, welcome. Mary Ann.
Mel. Dawn.
And I'm Sharon.
Hi, Jen.
And Pat.
And Pat.
We're part of the delegation too.
That's right.
Okay, so why we're here today is to kind of talk about the complex. So everybody knows that Big Society runs. So guess what we'd like to do is we get $48,000 from the town, and we get $60,000 from the county. And so we get an income of $108,000 to help us run that facility. And roughly our utilities are a little over 96,000. Our wages are last year over 89,000. Our insurance is close to 18,000. And last year our complex repairs that just were kind of daily maintenance were 1,000. So I think what we need to do is maybe ask the town to give us more money to help us run this facility. I have a copy of our financials. I'm not sure if anybody's looked at them or if you do have a copy, but it does cost us roughly about $300,000 to run that facility per year. So this year, we are going to replace our HVAC system because it just needs to be redone, and it's going to cost us about $350,000.
And that's in 25.
That's,
You're gonna do previous, prior to 25.
we may start this winter or we'll do it in March of 25. We have applied for a grant, which I'm very hopeful that we would be successful with. And then we probably in 25, 26, we have to do about roughly $250,000 worth of work to our ice plant. So it just might be, and then we'll be out of money. By that, we have enough, if at the end of the day, if we do have enough money to cover all of this, but then we have no money to kind of run the rest of it. So we maybe do need to be a bit proactive. And have some more resources coming in. And I'm sure you're all aware, we are one of the few facilities in Alberta that volunteers run an ice arena and hall. It's easy to run a standalone hall. It's just not that easy to run with the ice plant.
So I'd like to thank you for the work that you're doing in our community, and I know your father-in-law would be beyond proud to see all the work that's being done and that succeeded him. And so in terms of having you here today, in place, and this might be more for admin, but we currently have an agreement for the annual 48,000 contribution.
We have a motion, we also have a motion to enter an agreement, but we wanted to wait until the delegation to see if there were what request there was from the Ag Society, so we could put everything together and consider the count budget deliberations. So we do not have an agreement.
Okay. And so then part of your part of the barriers or in terms of revenue, has the Métis Crossing impacted you in terms of rentals or anything like that, or can you?
Yes, absolutely, they have.
I think that the number of wedding functions we had this year was definitely.
Yeah,
Down a bit or?
yeah.
Well, a fair bit.
So then based on your budget, then your numbers, the 4,000 might not be enough, that we look at having some sort of an agreement or
Well, the motion was made in 2016 to carry on giving us $48,000. So, I mean, we're all aware of how much everything has gone up since 2016. So if in 2016, you base that on what the costs were at that time, it substantially has increased. And we try to do quite a bit of advertising to rent out our hall, but people want to get married looking over the river and maybe see a buffalo, I don't know.
What would be a given amount that you may be looking at from the town, more a month or?
We didn't come up with a figure like that. We just came
No,
here and
that's
just asked if we could maybe get a little bit more, like the more you'll give us, the more we'll take, but
Yeah, okay.
we also understand that you have a budget you have to work with as well.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Evelyn?
Oh, first of all, I'd like to say it's a pleasure to see a face to the name because I have heard your, and I know that we've talked on the phone, but it's great to finally meet you because you are synonymous with doing such a phenomenal job running the Ag Society. So thank you very much. And that's why I want to even ask you the question, how long have you been doing this position? And I assume, like you were saying, it's volunteer run, so you don't receive an honorarium or anything. Everything that you do is your volunteer work?
absolutely. And I don't do it alone. We do have a board. So it's definitely our board that make it all work. And I've been on there forever.
Well, that's why I was trying to understand why the board.
When I joined it, Vic Lochuk was president.
So how many years approximately is that?
I'd have to say I've been part of that board for probably, I don't know,
I'm thinking 25.
25 or so, yeah.
That's exceptional. And like a true leader, you actually gave credit to your board as well instead of receiving all the accolades. But please do know that I hear your name and people speak very positively about the work that you've done for the last 25 years. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, I would like to say, I just hope that the community realizes the importance of that facility too. And we have been through some bumps over the years where the town started to, we had actually talked about turning it over to the town. It didn't go very well. The expense of maintaining it was way more than what we were getting the work done for.
And then just one more thing I'd like to ask is, does anybody have drawings for the RV park?
I could look.
Can you look? And also I have one more request. The town used to run the RV park and then, so they never metered the water. And then they did put in a water meter, but they put it in outside in that little shack. could we get that put back inside the heated building? Because mostly,
I would suggest if you submit it to me in an email, I can bring it to council as an agenda item with an estimate attached to it. Because because the way the water, because you want water in the winter months is what I'm understanding.
well, we have some long-term renters and we had requested just to have the bathrooms open.
So how to winterize our facilities.
Well, we thought if we could, it has to be heated, because otherwise wouldn't everything freeze in there?
Yeah, it depends on, I don't know what I don't know enough about that building because some are built seasonally. So, but if you could put in the request, we can find out about how much it would be and bring it to council for consideration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because when it was installed, it was supposed to be a temporary. I think Adam realized that maybe the water wasn't being metered, so they put one in. But it was, where they put it, they were only supposed to, it
Okay,
was a temporary fixture, but it never got moved.
okay, yeah. I'll reach out to you.
In terms of Dawn, do you have access to the financials or are those the most recent ones or? Okay, so then I don't think we need a copy or do we need a copy?
I think they were in our recent
Yeah.
agenda.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you for taking the time to have us.
Of course. Okay, so we'll be coming back to that. So we'll now move to 4.3, Vern Lee with the Smoky Lake Drop-In Center. No, I don't. Is there somebody in attendance?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'll have you just say your name and then.
Do you want to move on to?
Yeah.
Ron
I know.
Wasserchuk. A little hard on hearing here. Yeah, in respect to the drop-in center and the museum, and in respect to your billing of the power. It's rather vague. I have last year's, Carol has this year's. It says power at the museum, quantity 1, the price, and that's it. We don't get a breakdown of all the tookages and charges. It's, opposed to my personal bill with Lake on Power, I'm getting power from ATCO. There's an ATCO charge in that. Here it's vague, eh? Now, with the solar panels in just across the road from us, we have a transformer in there. And I'm quite concerned. What is the benefit for our museum and the other public buildings in our community that are owned by the town? We also get a bill from your town for the seniors drop-in center, which is quite concise in respect to water consumption and gas consumption. But for power, it's the same old thing. We get an invoice for the value for the power, no breakdown. Eh? Do we not have a breakdown that we do know? Are we getting some assistance by having the solar panels? Is that to our benefit? Or is there anybody getting a benefit of the solar panels in our community? That is the town facilities. That's my question, eh? And I think I'll have my people help me out a little bit, but I think we should be better informed, eh? Of what is on the utility bills, what our charges are, because it is just a flat rate, eh? Is that
And
valid?
you're talking about the power.
The power grid, yes, the power. And I'm just using,
I think, so I can just, we will look at how you're being charged. You're charged by usage and then a rate, a value. The town entered an agreement with Alberta municipalities to get a lower rate for power on town-owned buildings only, and we've passed that savings on to all of our user groups. So your power rate is 0.0695 per kilowatt hour. It's in the agenda,
and what is our power rate?
0.0695.
Just under 7 cents.
Yeah. Whereas direct energy is 0.11361 and ATCO's 0.0989. So it saves you between $33.50 and $50 for the month of September is what we did it. You with the town, you pay, it was the charge for the drop-in center was $79.20. With Direct Energy, it would have been $50 more. With ATCO, it would have been $33.50 more. So we are passing on our cost savings for power to all of our users.
I'll support you there because my power bill with Lakeland through from ATCO is 1.102.
Yeah.
So it's at 35 cents. If it's to our benefit,
Yes.
I think.
We can break down, I believe, and I don't know if she's still listening or not. I believe we could break down the actual usage to the user groups. Like tell them, because I have here that they use
Well, there's the.
1,139 kilowatts. We can break down your power bills better so you can see that in the rate.
Well, that'd be appreciated. That's including,
Except for the museum's a little bit different.
well, I know. When this all came down to two, with the previous CEO, Adam took care of everything and we were supposed to be with no signed contracts, just verbal agreement, not even a handshake, that we were supposed to be with that transformer installed, we were supposed to be in direct power initially from the solar panels, see?
The museum is, but we still charge you back for the use at the lower rate.
No,
That's what, yeah, that's
That
what
use-
Dandelion told me.
so the solar panels are supplying the museum or they're tying in at the museum?
You're tied into the museum with a transformer
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
building.
but it provides the power directly from the solar panels to the museum and the rest is sold to the grid.
Yeah, and should,
I didn't know that until I contacted Dandelion last week.
So what you're saying is when there's power being produced, the museum will be using that power. Any excess is going into the grid.
Correct, but I mean, to be fair, the bill for September was $7. So the
Yeah,
use
there's
at the
the
museum is extremely low.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know, I have last year's bills for year 23 and Carol has 24. For
Sorry,
the
we just got,
month of
sorry,
June.
sorry, Ron, if I can interrupt, we didn't get this new power rate until this year.
But Carol, could you help me? But the last year to date in June, we were paying $151
A
for
month?
power. Yeah, a month.
At the
And-
museum or the drop-in center?
This is,
exactly.
this is for the museum, cultural center.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm looking here, as usual, I always bring too much paper, it could be confusing, but as a resource, for backup here. You see, my wife just gave me one for the drop-in center. Well, I guess it dropped out on me.
There was
I
never a
don't know.
request for the museum.
Oh, seniors drop-in center, we paid this month, $366.
September or October?
August power bill, August 24.
Okay, I only have September's here.
So that's August? Did you 2 months there because you were away and I didn't have a sign check?
Well, no,
That's
I'm,
No, this
is,
drop in
the drop-in now, paid $366,
for the month of,
August.
you don't have October's.
And we don't have.
Clock.
Or,
So we have our
yeah.
auction at 2. So if, can we, are we okay to?
Was there a
couple minutes
specific
to wrap-
ask, I guess?
Yeah, like what are you, other than the explanation of the cost for energy, what was there another,
Can I?
yeah.
Could we resume? For the drop in, okay, so. The benefit of the solar system itself is not being passed directly anywhere. It goes into general revenue, the income from it.
Correct, and it offsets the overall taxes for the entire municipality. And the
Okay.
debenture,
And
sorry, a
then-
lot of it goes back to the
So
debenture.
there's
putting it
none
in.
of that is affecting, except for the museum where they're drawing directly from it when
They still.
when
get
there's
paid for
being
it.
produced.
So it reduces,
So like,
In an overall, but
yeah,
not-
in an
not
overall, it
directly.
affects all of the
It's
residents.
just shared.
not
yeah,
individual.
because there's that added revenue into the.
But
So as this moment, Dawn, am I to understand, you said we have a $7 bill for September for power?
Mhm. Museum,
Yes, museum, so we're getting the benefit directly.
but no real.
we're charging you the same rate that we get from Alberta municipalities for power, which is that 0.6 0.06.
Yeah, I know, just,
No.
So just to be clear, Ron, I think you're not getting the direct benefit. The power that you use, you get the same rate as the other buildings. So even though you're tied directly into it, the benefit of the solar, what is created at the solar and the benefit that's sold out is brought back into the town as a whole gains the rewards. So it goes towards the entire, it goes to the entire community, the benefits of that solar project,
Yeah.
not just the ones that are linked to
I'm
it.
just a little concerned what happens in the months of November, December, January and February. There'll be no we won't be producing power from the solar panels, so we'll be using power from the grid rather than from the solar panels to our museum. So we shouldn't be paying more money for those months, I believe.
We just charge you the same rate every month, for your use, regardless of what's being produced by the solar panels. You're charged by your use against the town rate that we get from Alberta News.
Okay. And
But before that use happens, what is being produced by the solar panels on any given day, because at night, of course, there's nothing. The museum is drawing directly off the panels. They're using from the panels, so there's no fee for those. That's why the small bill.
But we're charging you the power rate for the use in the building. We
Oh,
charge
it
back
is
to the
metered
museum.
coming
Yes,
from-
it is,
yes,
yes,
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so how the hell do you get a $7 bill?
The use was 104.89.
Oh, the
September.
total bill was 104.
No, that was the usage
The
at 0.069 is $7.29.
Yeah.
You didn't
use any power.
That doesn't
And then-
include distribution or anything, that's just the cost of the power.
Administration, yeah.
No, all the cost of power.
Yeah.
A little question regarding the facilities that the solar plant is using within the museum. Is the museum being compensated for the space or like anything for providing that facility for transformer or whatever that they're housing?
Right.
The short answer, I believe no.
Is that something that they can negotiate?
It's a town
No,
bill.
no.
but yet that September 2024,
That building doesn't belong to the town.
No,
no,
No, only the land that it's sitting
only
on.
the land.
We really
And
need
they had a
an,
99-year lease.
we need the paperwork on that because we don't have any. I've mentioned it to Ron to ask you for paperwork, but anyways, that's another story. We do have the top tax auction, unfortunately.
But anyways, we got billed for September, $161 for the museum. And we pay it.
thank you.
Is there
I don't know how. If we're supposed to pay 7, we pay 160.
No, your
That's
usage was
Yes.
$7.
Yes.
production
Yes.
and like an accounting of how much is being produced, what town is receiving for that production?
Every month
what it
in the
costs
agenda.
To operate and,
Yeah, it's in the agenda every month. The revenues for the solar panels.
We can get it to you.
Yeah, I can get it to
Okay.
you, for sure.
all right.
All
So
right,
you wanna continue or you wanna go to the auction?
We're gone. We gotta go.
Okay. Shall we come back or we're just thinking of the drop-in center, in respect to the uses there, right? We get some benefit.
you get the 0.069 right?
Yeah, that's the
Town gets.
benefits that all of us get as town-owned business or.
Are we happy? I don't think so.
Well, I would like to see a bill with everything.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, we can
my,
do that.
I think in
Moving forward, we can try to have more
Yeah.
information.
That would
The
even help us,
distribution
you know, our
fees, the administration, all that.
It's a consumption, yeah.
It'd be handy.
That.
Because then we
That's
can
fair.
see,
What you paying for.
Yeah.
Yeah. A better breakdown.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
Well,
thank you.
All right, thank you. We're gonna be talking about it later.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll make a motion later. They'll have a further discussion later in the agenda.
Thank you all.
Yes.
Thanks for coming.
okay, thank you.
Mara. So, set up the.
Good afternoon. Your days are over and
Yeah.
There's a. Two of you, okay.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Everybody.
Amy. Yeah, we can recess the meeting.
Okay, let's take a recess for 5 minutes. Are we recessing? Okay. 2 minutes. Right, sure. Okay. We got ours. You got yours? We got our recess. I think you guys go ahead. Okay, give us 2 minutes. Sure. I'm Katrina Scrivener. Amy, nice to meet you, Amy. You're the mayor. Yes. My daughter, Tina. Hi. That's Garrett, that's joined us now.
That's Garrett there.
Hi, Garrett. Is Garrett in San Francisco?
Yes, he is. No, he's in Vancouver.
Floating
Langley.
in front of the Golden Gate Bridge, yeah.
We're ready. Okay, guys, if everybody's okay. First thing I'm gonna do, before we open the auction is we're gonna just go over the terms and conditions with everybody, and I'm gonna read them verbatim, so there's no confusion, okay? So we are scripted at the moment, okay? So we are not open an auction yet. We are just reviewing terms and conditions, everyone. So before we open the auction, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Katrina Scrivener with Scrivener Auction. My daughter Tegan and are also our auction manager. And we go out and do a lot of these tax recovery auctions all over Alberta, for Angela, who's been on the show. So it's not new to us, but every situation is different. Every county and MD is different. So bear with us today. If we have questions, we might look to you for those answers, okay? Any parcel of land offered for sale may be redeemed by payment of all arrears, penalties, and costs by guaranteed funds at any time till the property is declared sold. That's number 1. Number 2, each parcel of land offered for sale will be subject to a reserve bid, and title will be subject to the reservations and conditions contained in the existing certificate of title. Number 3, the lands are being offered for sale on an as-is, where-is basis, and the municipality makes no representation and gives no warranty whatsoever as to the state of the parcel nor its suitability for any intended use by the successful bidder. Number 4, the auctioneer, counselors, the chief administrative officer and the designated officers and the employees of the municipality must not bid or buy any parcel of land offered for sale unless directed by the municipality to do so on behalf of the municipality. Number 5, the purchaser of the property will be responsible for property taxes and utilities for the current year. That's an important one. I'm going to say it again. The purchaser of the property will be responsible for the property taxes and the utilities for the current year. There will be no adjustment to the date of sale. The purchaser will be required to execute a sale agreement in form and substance provided by the municipality. That's number 6. Number 7, the successful purchaser must at the time of sale make payment in cash, certified check, or bank draft payable to the municipality as follows. I want to stress that that means guaranteed funds. They have to be certified or real. Just, dad's check out of his wallet ain't gonna cut it today. A, the full purchase price if it is 10,000 or less, or B, and that doesn't apply to your reserves today. B though, if the purchase price in greater than 10,000, the purchaser must provide a non-refundable deposit in the amount of $10,000 and the balance of the purchase price must be paid within 20 days of the sale. If the certified check or bank draft exceeds the final purchase price, the excess will be refunded within the reasonable time. Number 8, GST will be collected on all properties subject to GST. Number 9, the risk of the property lies with the purchaser immediately following the auction. Number 10, the purchaser is responsible for obtaining vacant possession. Number 11, the purchaser will be responsible for registration of the transfer, including registration fees. It's also important. Number 12, if no offer is received on the property or if the reserve bid is not met, the property cannot be sold at the public auction. So everybody understands we're on reserve today. Number 13, the municipality may, after the public auction, become the owner of any parcel of land that is not sold at the public auction. And 14, once the property is declared sold at public auction, the previous owner has no further right to pay the tax arrears. Now I'm going to emphasize something here. The property will not be declared sold unto the highest bidder until the bidder has presented the required deposit and has signed the sales agreement. So I'm going to tell you how that's going to go. If we have a high bid that is acceptable, we are going to adjourn. You will do your paperwork.
You will make sure that the funds, the deposit are authentic and not a check form. So they must be some type of certified fund, cash, whatever, okay? So the adjournment will go on until we know that you have all the signatures required from both parties, at which time I'll reconvene the auction, we'll reopen, and I will declare the property sold at that time. It cannot and will not be sold until all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, okay? So that's really important. If for some reason you don't think the deposit is acceptable form, then I can reject the bid and the land shall be sold or offered to the next highest bidder, subject to meeting the same deposit as above, okay? So if we have multiple bids today, we will go down to the runner-up. We will see if they would like to still offer the price they offered, as long as it's above the reserve. And again, we adjourn until you get your paperwork done, should we end up in that situation, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and start the auction. Prior to me opening it, this is my chance to say, does anybody have any questions? Because once we open properties, we're gonna proceed and we're not gonna slow down. Carry on.
Yes, I have a question. Thank you. My name is Harvey Prosky. On item number 5, you're saying that the purchaser of the property will be responsible for taxes and utilities for the current year.
Mhm.
So that's all this year's taxes and utilities will be, why would it not be to the purchase date?
Which is normal in a regular real estate transaction. You're right, they would do it to the date.
Yes.
In this case, though, because this is a tax recovery auction, you're covering the year. You're going to take on the ownership of the property, and that's gonna mean taking ownership of the tax. Not a great answer, but it's the answer.
Yeah. Did the act change to include that? Is that? I don't remember that.
I can divert to your counsel. So
That just seems strange. That wouldn't be.
in a regular property transaction, the lawyer adjusts it to date. I agree with you. In property tax auctions, that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, it's strange, it's just that, right, it's October and the buyer would be responsible to pay January's heating bill.
Right.
You know, the gas.
What, I don't know the tax cutoff dates for Smoky Lake, so I'd have to divert.
Water,
you.
sewer and gas, which is.
I'm from Wainwright, so I'm not really sure.
Strange.
What is our tax cutoff date?
So there's no adjustment made on the tax, correct? They are
whole year.
responsible for current year's tax. As of right now, the full tax for the current year.
For the full 24 tax year.
That's right, for the full 24 tax year. That's how I would understand it.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I can understand taxes because it's the year, but the utilities, because the town owns it, adding all of the utilities.
yeah,
Because the utilities get added to the taxes is why, right? Unpaid utilities get added to the taxes. So that's how this was written up through our,
yeah,
it is different, I agree, but.
it is, but yeah. Yeah. I hear you, but that is what it is. It is slightly different than regular.
And the amount on the.
I'll be announcing the current amount that you would.
I also have a second, sorry to take up your time, but a second question, and that's regarding item number 13. Is it the town's intention to become owners of the parcel that they don't sell? That's the policy.
That's absolutely right. So if there is no high bid on these properties today, in here or,
So will the town take possession?
I understand you will.
Yes.
Is that
Yes,
correct?
okay.
Yeah, so I think their intention is that if there is no new owner, they will become new owner.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is very standard. That's almost on, well, I would say.
But they don't have to. They don't have to. Maybe.
They don't have to, that's correct, but their intention today would be to do that. Is that correct?
Okay,
everybody?
thank you.
Now, if it doesn't sell, and the owner still, like I still got the place for sale here.
Okay,
So if the town decides not to take it, and my realtor finds a buyer for it, because we've had some action on it, just not where I want it to be. Can we still get that looked after, even though it's been put up for auction?
my understanding is that the time has come that it will sell. If it does not sell, if you're not the highest bidder or somebody's not the highest
Sure.
bidder, the town will be taking possession today.
Right. So if they take possession of it today and Mike gets an offer tomorrow for 200.
I can't speak on your
Yeah.
behalf, but as I understand it, I'm sorry, no.
Yeah.
Number 14. Yeah, so number 14 says, once the property is declared sold at public auction, the previous owner has no further right to pay the tax arrears, which means.
So I might as well tell Mike to pull it off the market.
You probably would pull it off the market, would be my understanding, but I mean, you haven't, like, if you had interest in the property, those people could bid today. But it's not gonna do you any good.
No, it's not.
That's right. But I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. That's what the spade
It's
is.
not for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there any other questions at all before we open the auction? Terms are understood. And all council and mayor cannot bid. Okay, everybody understands that? Everybody on the monitor hear us and understand us?
Yes.
Any questions from the guys on the screen? I've got Edmund and Garrett. I'm gonna open the auction, you guys, if you're all ready.
I have one question. Does the city intend to own the property?
Say again, I'm sorry.
Does the town tend to take the property? To own it, if
It
it
would
doesn't sell?
automatically divert to them, to be honest. It's almost an
Okay.
automatic thing. If property does not sell to a new owner today, following terms and conditions, the town of Smoky Lake then retains ownership of the property.
Understood.
Yeah, that's correct. And it's not they won't be raising their hand or anything. It would automatically fall that way. But then he raised his hand.
Yeah, I have a question. So
We gotta lighten it a little bit, guys.
just to be clear, are you both bidding or are you here?
No,
at-
we're together. We're
Okay,
in
so
the
which
same, we
one-
own
I
the
don't
same
know.
So
corporation.
which one intends to bid and which one intends to smile?
And there's two Garretts. I think one's just.
One is his audio.
So all the names I'm seeing are just listening, is that correct?
One's two, yeah.
And the two in the top right and left are actually here with interest. Edmund, will you be placing bids?
That's actually Garrett's call on this one.
Yeah, I'll be speaking if there's a bid to place.
Okay, so we'll be watching for you, Garrett.
Yes.
Okay, understood. Okay, folks, no further ado. If there's any other questions, now is the time. Otherwise, I will be opening the first property.
How many bidders do we have? The property.
As far as I understand, I've got what's on the screen and I'm not sure, nobody's announced themselves as a bidder yet. So you have two bidders? I have one on the screen, they're acting as one.
Correct, so one bidder we got.
As far as I understand,
The
is
whole
anybody in
property
this?
Alberta, we have one person coming to offer on properties.
Yeah, as far as I understand that, is anybody else in the room planning to bid? So the way I understand it, that's the case at the moment.
Me. I got my hands in pockets.
I'm just the mouthpiece, guys. All right, we're gonna open the auction, you guys, and we're gonna start with property number one. I officially declare the auction open. We will be starting with roll number 1000064, otherwise known as 55 White Earth Street. And we have a legal land description here of firstly, Plan 803 CL Block 4, the northeasterly half in uniform width throughout of Lot 1, accepting thereout all mines and minerals, and secondly, Plan 803 CL Block 4, the northeasterly half in uniform width throughout of Lot 2, accepting thereout all mines and minerals. The zoning on this, everybody, is C1 Central Commercial District. Uses are limited to the permitted and discretionary use of the C1 district. I understand that everybody had this package, so it would be up to the potential buyer to look into the zoning. And it says there are no easements, okay? So everybody's clear on that. Now, the current taxes on this to be paid by the purchaser is listed here at $6,164.59, okay? That is again on roll 1000064 55 White Earth Street. The reserve on this property is $192,600. Just to make clear, the bid must be higher than that, okay? The bid must be higher than that. I will open the bidding at $192,750, $192,750. Is there any interest at $192,750? We can back it to $192,650, $192,650. And finally, $192,601. $192,601. Second call for $192,601. Third and final warning, last chance to bid, $192,601. Going once, going twice. This property is not sold and now becomes the property of Smoky Lake, the town. We will move on to property number 2, which is roll number 100000117. This is otherwise known as 13 Willow Creek Street and legal address Plan 803 CL Block 7, lots 12 and 13, accepting thereof all that portion of said lot 13 which lies southwest of a line drawn parallel to the northeast boundary of said lot and 25 feet perpendicularly distant southwesterly therefrom, accepting thereof all mines and minerals. I won't say that twice. And the zoning is again C1 Central Commercial District. Uses are limited and permitted to the discretionary use of the C1 district, and we have not applicable on easements. The current taxes shall be paid by the purchaser at $1,964.18. Everybody clear on the property of rural 1000117 and 13 Willow Creek Street. Again, I will open the bidding at $64,150. $64,150. Anywhere? Any interest at $64,150? I will give you an opportunity at $64,101. $64,101 going once. $64,101 going twice. Third and final call at $64,101. Fair warning. I declare this property unsold and remains the property of the town of Smoky Lake. Third and final property, everybody. And I would have to assume this is why we're in San Francisco.
Yes.
Third and final property is rules 8000062. This is otherwise known as 4204 54th Street. The legal address being Plan 872 NY, Block 11, Lot 2, accepting thereof all mines and minerals, area 1.5 hectares, 3.9 acres, more or less. Zoning on this one, C3, Highway Commercial District. Uses are limited to the permitted and discretionary use of the C2 district. Okay, everybody, so that's important. You have to look into your zoning. And again, we say no easements on this property. Everybody has satisfied themselves to the information. We have a current tax due by the purchasers of $2,818.91. That's an important fact, $2,818.91, okay? I am going to open this property for auction at $138,100, $138,100. Are there any bids at $138,100? I will take it to 138,001. I will say it again, $138,001. Any interest at $138,001? Any interest? $138,001 going once. $138,001 going twice. This is your chance, boys on the screen, because I'm going into third and final call at $138,001. Final warning. Fair chance. I declare the property unsold and remains the property of the town of Smoky Lake. Everybody clear and understanding of what happened here? No properties have sold today to any new buyers. Smoky Lake retains ownership, okay?
Thank you very much for your help.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you for having me. I hope I was helpful or at least gave you a grounding. And I wish everybody the best. I know it's an uncomfortable situation and we understand.
On my
that.
behalf,
And I'm just,
I
I'm
look
just
at,
an
I know,
auctioneer.
I look at it, only one bidder. I'd like to know who picked the auctioneer. I'm sure you're good at what you do. Ritchie Brothers has thousands.
Oh dear, it's not up to us to advertise your auction. That's not what I'm hired to do. I'm sorry that we don't do that. That's the town.
I'm not mad at you. You're doing your job, right? I'm just giving you my.
Yeah, I'm a guest auctioneer as a figurehead. If we were asked to advertise it, you would have known a lot more. Yeah, no, there's a big difference. We're not private auctioneer here today. We're being hired by a a legal representation that has to have a figurehead. So because I'm a licensed auctioneer, that's why I go out and do this. I'm sorry, I have no control.
Got it.
So I hope you're not holding that against me.
I'm not holding nothing against nobody.
Okay.
We're wondering if they were frozen. Yeah, they're. Oh, no, they're there.
I can
Okay.
see Edmund moving and I was watching Edmund's facial expressions.
Okay.
Okay.
Garrett, were you able to follow the whole thing?
Yes, we did follow. We're not frozen.
Awesome. Okay, just making sure.
I wanna make sure.
Yeah.
You-
Sounds good.
We weren't sure if your screen was frozen, but I was watching, I could see some movement.
I thought I saw it.
We are interested, but we have concerns and questions and
Sure.
we need to address those, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, thanks for having me today, and that's pretty well where we exit unless you need me for anything else. that you can
Pretty
think of.
much.
There's not a whole lot more I could offer.
Right, Steve.
Yes, we will. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Give me that for the file. Is this the way out?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, either way, good. Thank you. Best of luck, everyone.
Thank you.
You guys.
Have a great trip.
Yes, thank you.
All right, make it good. Okay, thanks, everybody.
See you, Mike.
So we had recessed for the auction, correct? We know we'll be back in. Okay, resume, we'll resume, it's on recording. We'll resume back to our meeting at 2:32. And we will continue with our delegations to 7.4, future housing development with Garrett and Edmund. Harry?
Are we going to do the delegation first? Four.
That's what we're doing. Yeah.
Oh, reference 7.4.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
because
I'm
the,
looking at that in
the RFD is later in the agenda. So if you wanted to see what our recommendations were or any background, it's in 7.4, but the delegation's here.
Right, so we're doing 4.4.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I said that wrong.
Oh, okay,
What I'm
I see.
saying.
Oh, I didn't hear that. I see.
But
I'll make a motion that Town of Smoky Lake go into closed session to discuss the following matter. Go into the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, FOIP Section 16. Disclosure harmful to business interests of a third party at 2:32.
Okay, all in favor? Did you turn? I'll get a motion to get out of closed session. Terry,
I'll move to come out of closed.
all in favor? And then opposed, so carried. Okay, so we will continue to 6.1. Administrative report.
We're starting with doing reports.
Yeah.
Mistakes.
Who wants to start the?
Oh, Terry just went, so.
Evelyn?
So we just came out of closed session and
We're at 6.1.
6.1, thank you.
So, Marianne?
If I may, and thank you, Dawn, for your report. So I just noticed on page 33 that you had a pumpkin fair debrief, and then we have the larger one with the pumpkin growers on October 29th. And I was wondering if there was anything from, I'm assuming you had one with the town?
For the staff, yes.
Okay, and so what date was that?
I don't have it in front of me. I can look it up though.
Okay, so was there anything as I sit on that committee, would there be anything I would need to bring forward?
Well, I will be attending that
Oh,
meeting
okay.
as well, but I can debrief
Okay.
if council would like. I think that's, I mean, it's gonna be brought up there.
I see it later on in the
Yeah, but
agenda.
if you wanted more information, you want me to let you know what we, okay.
And
I believe most of it's actually in my report, so
okay,
on the pumpkin growers, so.
and so then if I may, Madam Chair, for page 36 on the development officer, there was at our recent Heritage Board meeting, it was noted from the chair that the plaques have gone up substantially. So a regular plaque from the company that was priced at 4,500 has now increased to 7,000. So I know we deemed the Heritage House or the Keens as a Heritage House in 2022. I'm hoping though that we're not doing anything to order any plaques at this point or do anything.
That would be a budget item, and a motion, but, well, budget at least, right? Because then that would give the go-ahead. But what we've done is we've asked the staff to start looking into different options for plaques, knowing that the cost, even the original price of plaques was very high. So we've been, that's where we're at as staff. But then it would be included in the, potentially, whether it be next year's budget, or maybe even the year after, on if we want to budget for plaques, that would go to council.
Okay, so then it just as from our Heritage Board, it was we were advised that it would be good maybe rather than order anything to come up with the standards and then that could be more affordable and to define the standards.
So with that, the other part is just because we designate does not mean the town is required to move ahead with the plaques as well. So there is that. I mean, I'm not saying we wouldn't want to, I'm just saying it doesn't lock us into actually having to, but we are looking into that and with the exact same messaging, so.
Okay.
I believe we had a conversation with Noreen as well.
Oh, thank you.
That consistency would be helpful.
Anything else? Evelyn? Just a question about the rural renewal stream. You met with the government? You met, it says meeting with government of Alberta.
I had a meeting with, I was invited by the chamber as the rep for, as the town CAO, so that we were all on the same page of the process moving forward. So in that meeting with the government of Alberta, with the chamber and the other CAOs and other members that were related to the HF, or not the HF, rural renewal streams.
And thank you for including a conference report as well. So I know that we've discussed that before, so I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe that's your motion, if you're ready.
I'll move that the town of Smoky Lake accept for information the administrative report for September 17th to October 16th, 2020.
All in favor? None opposed and carried. 6.2, quarterly financial reports.
We got these ones in on time this time.
No, I'll go ahead and make a motion, then you can have some discussion to me, but I'll make a motion that Town of Smoky Lake accept for information the attached financial reports for July 1st and September 30th, 2024 items as A through D as follows: operating budget or operating positions, council expense report, accounts payable listing, and reserves report.
Any discussion? Mary?
So I think I was the one that brought forward the reserve report, and that's kind of not really what I was thinking. I was it looks like it's just been pulled from the last financial audit. So I was hoping for more of say, for example, last meeting we authorized to buy the gas detection equipment, and it was 17,000 and it was coming out of reserves. So more of a budget report with real time for 2024 based on the GLs, because I believe we have a natural gas reserve GL. So
Crystal,
I could table that even till the next budget meeting.
So the top of the report is my spreadsheet, and it shows you each.
Page number, sorry.
56 right at the top.
It shows you each reserve and what's allocated in each. The bottom, I clipped the financial statement just so you can see it's more of a general number, like it's just.
So what's come out of that is reflected on your 2020.
But as for 2024, that's a year-end entry when you touch reserves. I didn't realize that's what you were kind of getting at. Like I wouldn't make an entry in these GLs until year-end. But I could definitely bring them forward.
Forgive me for not being clear to that. So would you like if I could, Madam Chair, is it okay then just to table it to our budget meeting and then just leave it there?
Whichever.
Yeah, because it's kind of unfair to you to.
I'll have to bring it back.
And, oh, go ahead.
May I follow up on the reserve? Because well, you look like you had something else. That's why I wanted to.
I was gonna ask for permission to talk about some of the accounts payable listings.
And that's what I was going to ask questions about, but I'd like to take team on to what you, because I actually had a question about reserves as well. Okay, that's why. Okay, so can I make a suggestion and check, the town of Proverbs receives a monthly, their town council, they get a monthly report on reserves. So can I ask you to take a look at it? How they do it and how they set it up. It's just a suggestion. Crystal?
Yeah, I can definitely bring it back monthly, but if there's no council motion to touch a reserve, it stays the same. But I can definitely bring it back.
Or when
there's an update on it.
Or when there's an update. And I'm sorry, so I mentioned that they do it on a monthly, that's not me, sorry. I was not suggesting something to change things. I was just saying, this is the way that they have it set up and what the information, like following up on what, and I found it was very interesting that they do it on a monthly basis, so I'm not necessarily just for you to take a look at it and see what it is. Because from moving forward, this is why we had you bring the policy back, is because yes, we're interested in becoming, well, at least I am on this council, I can't speak for everybody, but being more proactive with reserve funds, how we invest the money, where we put them, et cetera. So that's true.
I have one more question, then I'd like to, once this motion is voted on, I'd like to subsequently make another motion, but on page 45 for optimized solution, $12,331. Could administration please identify what project that was? Page 45.
Just wondering if anyone knows off the top there. Yeah, just take a minute to look it up.
Yeah, okay.
I think what else we did. Yeah, she's just gonna, if there's other questions while she looks that up, I can ask my, although I might need her to help answer that.
Evelyn? Okay, well, she's doing that. So for my questions when it comes to this, is that I didn't see any VM systems on the list, so is that it for them to?
They're still involved with renewing our website, I believe that's the only thing, or not website. I think so, but yeah, pretty much done. Once that's handed over.
And does that, and with that, the end of that relationship, is that's what's affecting the boards?
You know,
Because
it would be
this one was
great to know.
dead, and now it's on again. And then the other one is dead.
It's on again because Raman and Core, our IT company, contract company, were out there on site trying to figure out why they're not connecting. And the gentleman from Core thought there was something with the switch, something with the power supply when everything got switched over. So we're back to MCS Net. I don't know that it's actually updating. When I drove in, I saw it was on. I was like, why is the sign on? So I was going to question that, but next is to bring MCS Net back again and say something went wrong and our IT companies got it down to power and this one's clicking on and off and trying to get them working again.
And that's perhaps something that I should have asked you during your
Okay.
CAO report and stuff, but I associated it with VM. And that's why as soon as I saw that, I made I made the connection between the two, which was not correct. J&P Plumbing and Heating, we do have Nordic Mechanical Services coming in regularly on a monthly basis, but they got called in for a job that Nordic couldn't cover during their.
Well, that's not included in our regular maintenance, that house for one thing, that's the house
Oh,
that
is
we
that what,
bought.
okay,
And for them to come in for additional service calls, we still pay them the additional, but theirs is the preventative maintenance, not all maintenance.
okay, thank you for
So
that.
that wasn't included, and it's actually probably cheaper for us to, and we'd rather use local when we can, obviously, but yeah, the preventative is Nordic, and then if there's like something in between that isn't covered, then we take turns.
Got it. Thank you
Yeah.
for that clarification. Because I saw that we have three plumbing companies, or three plumbing and heating, mechanical, and then we have 4J Mechanical with 12,991, and then the 21,342. Is the 21,000 specifically having to do with the work at Maria Close, or?
Yes, that one would be Maria Close.
And then the 12,991 listed water and sewer repair, but they also mentioned Maria Close, like, was there different, they did different jobs for the one invoice, or is the 12,000 and the 21,000 all for the?
Where's the 12,000, sorry, page 48?
It came first, so, sorry, did I write the date down? My apologies, I took notes.
Page 48.
Here we go, 12. Cut and cap water, that's the 12,000 on August 15th?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Aspen View. It's actually it was a couple things, cut and cap water line at Aspen View School, augering roots in a sewer line, so that would be a residential, and then water and sewer repair.
Oh, okay, so I am correct, there's three different items.
Three
that are in
different items
one?
on that one,
Okay, that's what.
Yeah.
Three different, whereas the other one, 21, is solely for that back.
21.
20, and again, I'm sorry, I
Page
didn't read down yet.
Thank you.
Yeah. Because the only thing that it said was water and sewer repair Maria Close, so that's why.
Well, it says on August 30th. 21,342.
Just three,
Yeah.
21,000.
Yeah, new water service Maria Close, CC valve replacement and replacement of water service in Maria Close.
So a few different items, yeah. We have the answer for Mary Ann's if you're good.
Yep.
Oh,
and then, go ahead. So
It was the completion of the Green Municipal Fund project with Peter Hart.
So we put monitoring systems on all of our buildings to monitor our power use with a grant that was received before I started. It's fine, we were waiting forever for the parts. And they finally came, and that makes sense, yes, so it's a grant.
Thank you. Evelyn, and then just one last question, and that is, all of those charges there for Liberty Security Systems.
That's our alarm systems for all of our different buildings. Our
So
alarm
they
system.
charge, those are charges for each of the buildings
Yeah.
on a monthly basis now,
Yes.
like, are we gonna see that?
Yes. It used to be charged differently. It was annually, we paid the last company. And this
Okay, and
one's
that's why
monthly.
I'm asking, is because we've never seen something like that, and then suddenly it was like broken up, so.
Yeah. and they have all
New
different
security.
ones. New security system.
Got it.
The other system was dated and needed new equipment, so this included the equipment replacement, so. It was that, or we could have done like the other company where it was, what happened with that company is the equipment was purchased and installed, and then the monitoring fees were separate. Whereas now, we instead paying the capital costs of replacing the equipment and then the monthly monitoring, it's kind of like, where it's covering both.
Yeah.
So it'll be a little bit higher because we had to replace the capital as well.
Okay.
All right. I will call question. All in favor? None opposed, so carried.
Madam Chair, so I would like to make a motion at this time. So first of all, could I ask a question, and then I'd like to make a motion? Do we have a policy on purchasing? I'm probably not gonna have any friends in the room, but hydro boulet, but do we have a policy on purchasing beverages and food or meals.
For staff?
Council.
Or for council, council removed the, in the budget meeting to do meals, we removed that, when we did budget discussions last year. We did maintain a smaller budget line for buying and stuff for in-council chambers, so we maintain that budget. That is, yeah, and then we also buy some for staff, but that's meetings only, not, or team building, not, day-to-day, we don't supply, beverages to staff.
Okay, so there's numerous purchases, page, if I may, Madam Mayor, there's numerous purchases from page 45 to 48 that include food, and I think as a member of council, if I would like, Buble or Pepsi or granola bars, I think we could do better. We can have a social fund or we could bring our own, so my motion is that would cease at this time. And you can vote against it, but I
And would that be
put it
for
on.
all committee meetings as well? Things like FCSS, I know Rochelle does some where she does meals here and there and drinks and that. And technically, everything falls under the same procedural bylaws, so I want to know, is it just council or?
Would it be better to review it at budget or we can cease it until such time we have a policy?
If that's the motion of council, yes. I can tell you that it is common to buy beverages, but that doesn't mean we have. It's also common to provide the meals, and you guys have chosen that, you know, you'd rather take a break. So I mean, it's definitely the discretion of council to decide what route you want to go.
Thank you.
Well, I think we should definitely review it, the budget, because I don't know what the line, like what the actual cost is. I'd be curious to know what it is, like the total. So if you're comfortable, do you think we could review it at budget time, or you can stick with your motion? I'm not, but I'd like to review it. Whatever we're spending currently. Okay.
Yeah.
Evelyn?
It sounds to me like there's maybe two different motions there as well too. Do you want to make the motion then for reviewing it on the budget first?
Okay. So the first motion I wrote down and then.
Crystal? I just want to mention if you're looking at the counselor report, just to let you know, it does say, what is it, 800 and. The GL 211-211, page, I'm going back.
Page 43.
For the counselor expense report. The actual is 855, just want to let you know that Muni World subscription is 795 that minute. And GL, if that's what you're kind of. I just thought I'd mention.
No,
Under council expenses, just something to consider with budget is the magazines, we pay $800 a year, $795 a year for the Municipal World magazines.
how much?
$795 is what she's pointing out total for our magazines
And that's on page 43.
under council expense. Yeah, yeah, I think so. At the very top, GL 211.
Oh, yes,
211.
but that's not what you're talking about.
No.
She just thought she'd bring up one of the larger costs for consideration, I think. Yeah, you know,
The beverages go in there too, if there is for council, it goes in that GL.
so a lot of yeah.
So it's $50 is what went to the council. The rest was for a magazine. Right, and let's make a motion to review it.
Well, I think Marianne had a motion on the table, but I see it
I don't know if I heard a motion.
Yeah, I thought I moved to have purchases cease for food and meals until a policy is developed.
Motion ceased for food and meals for council. You're not taking away our staff team building budget, I'm hoping.
The food, for what? For who? For all departments of, town, so it'd be public
Okay.
works. the
So
office.
my concern with that is I have team building planned for one this Thursday and Christmas. So if we take away that budget, then we don't have a Christmas party, so. What I'm saying, I would really hope that we're not gonna take away the staff recognition that we put in place for team building. So we don't very often have lunches, but I have one planned for Thursday this week. And then the next one would be Christmas. We do them maybe half a dozen times a year we do meals. It's not excessive and it's within the approved budget from last year. So I would ask that council consider that and not include staff in that. When we do lunches outside of the team appreciation, this team building one, we buy our own or we do potlucks. Or we return bottles for burgers, barbecues. We do not use the staff lunch that often, but I would hate to see that be taken away from the staff. My staff recognition is an important part of the culture I've promoted for my staff, and I would hate to see that change.
Evelyn? So the team building at the golf course, $821.49.
I don't know that the amount, is that in this one?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, that was one of the,
So, okay, we have never seen those lines, and I think this is something that I was hoping was going to change when you came on as CAO, is that we'd see a lot more of those details, when it comes to the budget. And I actually do appreciate Deputy Mayor Prosecutor Zabrewski bringing this up, because as long as I have been on this council, we have not gone through the budget that in detail, in closer detail than what we have. So I actually do support the motion for to do that in including the budget when it comes to budget assessment. Dawn?
so with the first budget I was part of, I added a line in there of additions to the agenda that were brought very clearly to council, separated as team building for staff at, I want to say it was $3,000. And that was brought forward as an addition that was supported. So it was very clear and transparent that I wanted to do team building activities, and that's one of them. Yeah.
But what she is too, we're not just talking about one line, but I do want to see that one line included with all of the other lines, because again, when you bring one line, we judge it on that one line, but perhaps when we see it all together, then it gives greater context to it. And perhaps a different view on it as well. So I would like to see those lines. I have
no problem with the breakdown of what we're spending, because I know I'm within budget. I have an issue with canceling it right now. Because I have, like I said, I have an activity plan this week and I have Christmas. So if we're not doing the Christmas party, then I would just like to know so that we can do something different.
Yeah. So here's, I was hoping I wouldn't have to go into this, but I'm going to go through 4 items. Page 45, $90 Betsy's. Page 45, chamber drink supplies, $327.79. Page 47, Supplement Council, July 22nd, $46.10. Page 48, 2 salads, I don't know the company, council meeting, 63. So you add it up. So I'm going to make a friendly amendment to the motion. So there are to be no food expenses or meal expenses for council at this time until a policy thus is developed.
Can I add some transparency to a couple of those expenses? When we have meetings that go till 7 o'clock at night and staff are working 12-hour days, we do buy supper for staff that are expected to stay during the meeting, as I believe your labor laws would support. We're already, that's the only time those are bought for them is when it goes till, and so that's why you only see a couple there. It's very.
Labor law supports you buying
Would support
meals?
that we need to feed our staff if we're gonna keep them here for 12 hours. We need to, and maybe I'm misstating that, but we need to take care of our staff. So if I have a couple staff that have to be here till 7 o'clock, because we have a late council meeting, we buy their meal. It's the only, we don't at lunch, but we do, if my staff have to stay here for 12 hours during a day, some without overtime, we buy them a dinner.
But for clarification, you refer to it as labor law.
I believe, I want to reference that, but I want to double check that, but yeah.
So it's just council.
Yeah, but you're worried about council.
Yeah, that was the optics. I mean, if I may, Madam Mayor. I started this with saying I'm not gonna be popular. If you love Buble, I'm sure we all love our beverages. Terry brings his Rockstar. I didn't want it to come to this, but bring your own, or let's put in a social
Okay,
fund.
point order. All right, we're going to put
Sorry.
Mary Ann's motion on the table. And that is
Motion to cease.
cease purchases for council beverages and meals.
There's a multiple motion, you know, it's not all one big motion, there was multiple.
But that's the final, that's the
Motion.
amendment of her motion.
So then can I have that motion read back so that I know exactly what I'm voting on, because this is
All
changed.
all purchases made.
Can the recording secretary? Can you?
I wrote down, the town of Smoky Lake cease food and beverages for council at this time.
I'm,
Until
is that
budget.
what, is that
Yeah, I'm gonna let that stand.
Okay, all in favor?
recorded vote, please?
Any opposed? All right, we'll move on to,
Was there not a motion for us to bring the line?
We don't have one motion on the floor at a time, so is there another motion?
no?
Yeah, I had talked about making a motion that we review that line at budget, bring it back to budget. Like.
Okay.
It's hard to vote on a motion like that without knowing how much we actually, like, I'm supporting you. It's a short time because budget time is coming now, so it is a short time. That's the only reason I supported it. But without knowing how much this, like, if it's $50 and we just like, I'm just curious. I want to know what I'm voting on. I want to know how much it actually costs the town to do something like during a meeting, have water for people, like, so. I'd like to review that budget.
All right, all in favor? And unopposed, carried. All right, we move to 7.2.
Oh, sorry, can I also, back to the auction, we missed the motion for that, so I don't know when you want to do that, being that 7.1 is technically, we've already made that motion and addressed
Yeah.
it, but with that, can we make a motion regarding the tax auction?
Oh, I didn't realize we. Okay.
I didn't either, actually.
Okay.
I don't have the motion here, it's a motion,
Getting one you're talking about?
well, it's the overall tax sale, if we can make,
I can
make
make a motion.
No, this is a different one, sorry.
No, I mean, I'm gonna make it up.
Okay, it's just that, the properties that are not sold, to take over the properties under the municipal acquisition.
I can make motion, to accept that during the public auction tax sale, roll 1000064, roll 1000117, roll 80000062, were not sold, and
To take over the properties under the municipal acquisition.
take over the properties under the municipal
Acquisition.
acquisition.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. So that doesn't mean we go back to 7.1, that just
No.
covers the actual.
Just covered the actual overall auction, yeah.
Okay, 7.2, delegation of the agricultural complex. Evelyn?
I'd like to make the motion that Town of Smoky Lake accept for information the presentation by the Smoky Lake Agricultural Society regarding the needs of the society and the current funding model.
No?
I'd like to have a discussion on our, like during budget time on the funding, and review it at that time after we see the budget, or during the budget deliberation. So I don't know if we need to discuss it at a committee as a whole. I just think during budget is a good time once we take a look at what it looks like.
Evelyn?
Could I also ask you to bring back for clarification? We do have a committee member on that board, and you're saying that, and it was passed by a motion previously, is this not something that needs to be like in a policy or in a bylaw? And I mean, that's not current, I'm not saying it's anybody here at this table, but it sounds to me like something has been missed in the last, or what was appropriate at the time has never been updated because legislation says now you need to do it, because I'm quite sure like even what was, and again, we're one of the last of the volunteer only driven agricultural societies, which is
Operating out of their meeting.
And, but we also have a motion to enter into an agreement. So that's a standing motion, but then we wanted to wait for them to come in with as a delegation to ask, and then I think, budget discussions, and then determine what we want to plan for the next X number of years and enter that agreement so that I agree, there needs to be something in writing.
But also clarification on how we have a paid representative on their board as well too.
Yeah, okay.
Please, like, and I'm not saying I want to remove the person from the board, I'm saying it's because, again, when we assign, usually when these motions are made, they say, in accordance with. And then it's in accordance with is a bylaw, a policy, legislation. So that's what I'm asking clarification for. Thank you.
So do we have to make another motion to talk about it at budget?
Can I ask Evelyn if we could just have a friendly amendment to yours to have a discussion like at budget time?
You mean to wait until then to bring it?
Like you had, no, the town, your motion that you read off, just as, except for information at this time, could you just, would a friendly amendment be able to discuss their request at a budget meeting?
Okay, so I read this one, but you would like the friendly amendment to add and
Discuss the Egg Society's, funding request at a future budget meeting. Just add to it instead of making a separate motion.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Thank you.
I have some discussion.
Terry?
So we're supposed to track our in-kind work for the Egg Society. We will get a report at budget time for that.
I didn't know we were supposed to track. But we should probably.
Motion July 22nd that I made.
Oh, yes, the new work that was added. Yes, we can,
You know what I mean? So that, because I believe the original request for funding was a 50-50 thing. And the town, we do the snow plow and we do the grass, you know what I mean? So just so that we could say the county's paying 60, we're paying 48, and approximately 5,000 in lieu of.
That's not point. Would you like that to be a friendly amendment to that as well?
No.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor? Not opposed, so carried. All right, 7.3, delegation of the drop-in center. Marianne?
I'd like to move that the town of Smoky Lake accept for information the presentation by the Smoky Lake Drop-in Center regarding the need or the information presented. The written letter and expense.
Discussion? Mel?
I just have a little bit of discussion. Is it, do we need a motion for you to give them a more detailed breakdown of their power usage?
think so, but we can just fine tune our process. I've made note of it, but again, if you want to make a motion to make sure it's documented that the request was there for the future, then you can definitely do that. It doesn't hurt anything. I did make note too.
Okay. Well, so the ask was they just wanted to have more of a breakdown on their bills. So could we bring that back to council, and then at that time when we're taking a look at it, we could have a bit of a discussion about it then. Simply,
But they just want a breakdown of their power bills, their use and things. That's all they're
Yeah,
asking.
No, I think, remember they were discussing that they're not receiving any benefit from the solar panels and that if maybe we could pay a little bit of rent for the transformer.
Okay, well, that would be
Yeah.
different. This ask that I'm thinking of is that they just want, they
That's
wanna
right.
know what their use is
That's
and
right.
what their actual power bill is, not just the total amount. So aside from that, then it would be a different discussion.
Right, at budget.
and respectfully, this has been a part of their conversation since even before this council. It already started with the last council. And it keeps coming up, and it keeps coming up, and it keeps coming up. So, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the exact same thing over and over again. So the conversation there is not going to stop until some action is taken. So that's actually why, if the small baby step that we're taking is to break it down and understand what it is, I do want to bring it back because I do believe that we as a council need to take additional, like some sort of additional step so that the conversation doesn't continue again and again about being promised to have what the promises that they believe they were made that have not been properly acknowledged and corrected, and maybe even something else instead done for them so that that conversation comes to an end.
So you wanna see a breakdown of all their power bills though, is that right?
Well, their request, their ask was that they don't understand the power, like the
So that's
bills,
what
and they
I'm
wanted to
thinking.
have it detailed. And that's why baby steps, I'm saying, can you please bring that back? So instead of having a discussion here today, bring that back to council so we can take a look at it, have a discussion, and maybe take the next baby step forward.
What are we
So I
discussing
think we
now?
need a motion.
What are we discussing when you bring it back?
Because the conversation is not stopping there about what they believe was a promise that was made to them by the previous CAO on behalf of council.
Could we not have a letter that addresses it
Well, in that,
Make a motion today if you want.
to address
Or you
what,
discuss it.
how the solar power?
because because as much as what we said today, what was described to them, they're going to go back, discuss it, but I don't think that that rectifies what they still believe is probably that they should be getting a discount on their bills, is what it comes down to. So even though what you did, how you described it to them, I understand, because I sit now on council and I've been privy to this information for the last 3 years. But there is a belief that they should be getting a discount on, further discount, because they were told that they would get one if they supported the solar project. That is where that comes in. So that's why I'm saying we still need to discuss it, not today, but I'm using this as an excuse to bring it back, show it to us, and then we can discuss it at that time. So we have had we heard them today, time to think about it, and then bring it back.
I think I get what you're saying, and I think the reason it's confusing to everybody is we need more information than we do. So the information that was provided today to council has nothing was said about a promise of anything. And when you say it happened at last council, they never came to last council about that either. So I think it was just communication that was happening there that you were privileged to maybe. And so that's why it's a little confusing. I think I don't need to see their power bill, but if you just want to add it for a discussion later on to like, but I wouldn't be in favor of talking about just, like, I'm not going to just say the drop-in center should get a discount on it. If they, like, it is a benefit of a whole to this community, and that's why we put that solar panel in place. So if you want to have a further discussion at budget time, like, I don't need to bring that back as an excuse. We can just add it if you want to. I don't need to see how much power they use. But the project and the grant and the project was for the whole community. And I'm not, I appreciate, like, and I think, you know, what's the gentleman's name? Mr. Hoberg, right? Yeah, he, like, I think he understands solar, so it was a little easier for him, like to understand, because we've had years of wrapping our head around the solar project and the benefit to the community, so I could tell it was a little bit like for him to understand what Don was saying, then, like I said, we've talked about it numerous times. So unfortunately, I'm not in favor, we can talk about it again, but I wouldn't be in favor of this was supposed to be community as a whole, right? It kind of is unfair to the other clubs that aren't in town buildings.
Evelyn? I have brought it up before this council before, so it's not like this is the first time we're hearing about it. I have brought it up before. I brought it up actually when the previous CAO was still here. So what I think actually right now, for example, an apology letter. That's what I'm talking about, is something, and again, you might not like the idea of that. I don't know. I'm trying to bring forward some ideas. I'm saying that we need to end.
Yeah. And I agree with you, there has to be
So
some line.
perhaps, what I'm saying is perhaps we should write an apology letter and saying, unfortunately, promises that were made to you by the, or whatever have you, which I know probably not. But there has to be something like that in order to end that conversation, or else it's gonna continue going and going, because that's where the gerbil on the wheel is stuck.
So with this delegation request, I mean, we could push this either to budget meeting to discuss that. This wouldn't end with one facility, as we saw, they tied the two, well, it's museum and the other option is to make a motion to advise the user groups of our facilities that the solar panels are, the revenues from the solar panels benefit the community as a whole and offset overall taxes for all residents. But each facility does get the reduced power rate that the town has, you know, with our agreement with Alberta municipalities, and we could then send a letter to each of these organizations, hopefully then shut that down and make sure we're sharing that information, and that the promise that we will also provide more thorough power bills in the future.
Unless you have new information, I'm going to ask that we move on.
But with the, again, the acknowledgement.
Well, again, we're acknowledging something that they're saying, but we don't know that anyone said. A verbal can be, right? Like, I wouldn't want to acknowledge something that I don't know is ever happened for sure. So what am I, like, to apologize on, again, hearsay, right? I think just saying, you know, apologize for the misunderstanding around the solar panels, I agree with. To say somebody misspoke when we don't know the facts, I'd be hesitant to want to, I would recommend we not go there, but to apologize for the confusion around the solar panels and then clarify, point out the power rate, point out how how it benefits the community as a whole, not to mention the debenture that we're paying for. And now we're also wondering if we're getting a reduced money for them based on that reduced power rates. We're chasing that one down too right now.
Right.
If you want to make that motion, that's like, you could do that and that would kind of end it here. We would move forward with that communication.
Yep. I'd be comfortable with making that motion. We have a letter written. Explain the how the solar power revenues work, we're totally, and that we'll give the breakdown of the benefits of having our powers from the municipality.
You call the Marianne's motion.
Which one? I thought so. Yeah.
Sorry, I just,
Yeah. Sorry. All right, all in favor? None opposed, so carried. All right, we'll move to 7.4, so the delegation of the future housing development. Terry?
I'll move the town of Smoky Lake accept for information and presentation from Garnet, Paddington, and Edmund Melnick regarding future housing development.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried, and we'll move to 7.5, disposal of equipment, electric motor. Carrie?
I'll move that town of Smoky Lake dispose of the US Motors rebuilt 30-horse electric motor at public auction, or sorry, that the town of Smoky Lake list the US Motors on governmentdeals.ca online auction platform with a reserve bid of $3,500.
Any discussion? Not all in favor?
Done.
They didn't want to talk about it. Thank you.
7.6, 2024 article franchise fees.
So several items, again, when we discuss that committee of the whole, it's to have the discussion there with the idea that you come to council meetings ready for motions. In theory, so this is one that was discussed and decided at committee of the whole, so we're just formalizing it here.
Derek,
I'll move that the town of Smoky Lake approve the ATCO finance fee to remain at 7% and acknowledge the estimated 2025 revenue forecast in the amount of $100,067 in reference to the letter from Jen Layden, customer service rep at ATCO dated August 14th, 2024.
all in favor? Anyone opposed, so carried. 7.7, annual yard decorating initiatives for clubs, organizations, residents and businesses. Evelyn,
I'd like to make the motion that Town of Smoky Lake accept for information the report regarding annual yard decorating initiatives for clubs, organizations, residents and businesses in reference to motion number 493, 2024.
all in favor? No opposed, so carried. 7.8, with derelict property tax.
Discuss the committee of the whole.
Mel,
Make a motion that town of Smoky Lake accept for information, the update on the derelict tax surplus.
all in favor? And opposed, so carried. 7.9, housing accelerator fund utilization for lands. Dawn?
So at the last council meeting, I want to say Councillor Cokes made commented, and I could be wrong on who, could we use AGF funds for water lines? And I said, no. And then afterwards I thought, I wonder, and we can. So this was to have that discussion on whether we want to use the grant funding to fund the infrastructure for, because these would be considered affordable homes. In Maria Close, we have two different options. One is the recommendation is if we want to do lot 37 where there's no utilities, plus the other lots, or the second option is just the existing lots and then decide a future for lot 37 in the future.
There's the third one.
And then we defer.
Yeah.
So if we want to consider use, or it could be, I would say we defer maybe to the budget meeting is what it would be the third option, yes.
Marianne?
So at this time, I'd like to move that the Town of Smoky Lake defer the utilization of housing accelerator funding to a future budget meeting.
Well,
It doesn't hurt to wait because we're not gonna, start breaking ground right now.
okay. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Carried. The repurchase lot in Maria Close, 7.5. Mayor, Dawn?
Just to quickly speak to this one as well, the owner has attached a letter asking us to pay the full price back. The agreement was that if they didn't develop, we would repurchase it in the amount of $1,875. They did, just so you know, they did pay their taxes on this property in the last year, which I want to say was $600. So it's up to council if you want to accept that or deny it, and then at which point it would be the 1875.
Evelyn?
So for clarification, we're talking about lot 37, the one that
Correct.
repurchased lot in Maria Close.
Okay. That motion implements.
Carrie?
I'll move that the town of Smoky Lake repurchase the property legally recognized as plan number 7820208, block 12, lot 37 in Smoky Lake, at about $2,500 from Almar Franklin.
All in favor?
Discussion.
Oh,
Yeah. I thought there was the discussion.
go ahead.
Yeah,
Started it with the
Sorry, so if I further discussion, I'd like to ask two questions, based on, thank you for preparing this document. I don't understand if you could point to clarity, explain about the tree situation. I didn't understand in the letter what the reference was.
Can I remove myself for like 1 minute?
Sorry.
Using chair, go ahead.
Okay, so and then my second question is who paid the land title costs?
We. Robin, we paid the land titles cost, right?
Yeah, we did.
So we paid the land titles cost, and if you want to clarify, it was that their justification for not developing had to do with the trees on the lot, correct?
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I need to call a 2-minute recess, please.
Okay.
Call the meeting back at 3:45. And there was a motion on the table. And I believe
Did you get your
there was
answers,
further. Yeah. Sorry.
I forget what's the question.
The trees.
Robin, could you clarify, what are the reasons that they stated they didn't want to develop, or they weren't able to develop? Was there was trees on the lot were in the way of where they wanted to develop?
Yeah, the trees are on the south of the lot and they don't want to risk them growing even further and damaging the home that they're going to be placing on it.
We've already made a motion to refund, so really it's just whether we're refunding 1875 or we're refunding 2,500.
I think it was 2,500.
And that's the motion.
So was title transferred to them?
Yeah.
What is the cost of transferring it back to us?
$100.
Which is one of the reasons why we said 1875 was there's administrative costs of doing all of this, there's land titles costs. Like I said, they did pay their taxes for last year. So that would cover technically the cost, but that's also property tax, that's part of owning your home. So it's entirely up to the discretion of council. What you think is appropriate.
Evelyn?
How much did they pay us in the taxes?
600?
Yeah, I believe it's 650 because of the vacant lot tax.
Okay, well, the motion's on the table. If everybody's all right, I'll call the question. All in favor? None opposed, carried. 8.1, Northern and Regional Economic Development Program Grant. Dawn?
So this is we applied for this grant last year around the digital sign. This year they've changed the dynamics of the grant slightly. I thought a good grant might be, it's to promote sustainable economic growth and diversification. There's also some benefits to having some support within your region. So I thought the council's or chamber, if again, this is tied by the motion today, the chamber is going to discuss it this evening to see about partnering with us as that, not partnering, but being that supportive organization on our grant application to do some downtown beautification. This could tie into the wayfinding that we talked about from the branding and the signage, refurbishing parks, some street furniture, public art, those kinds of things. For downtown, and I just wanted to know if council supported us moving forward with this application. Our contribution would be 50,000 up to a maximum of 50,000, depending on what we got. So is there an interest in moving forward with the application, knowing that our contribution would still be that 50,000?
Terry?
It's a 50-50 contribution, right? So if we apply for less. So basically what you're saying is we're gonna apply. The project will cost 100 grand.
Anticipated project cost at 100 grand, yeah.
Mel?
Well, I think talk on signage and things like that, I think this is a good idea to cover the downtown portion of it, right?
It aligns with
This
where you're.
could be the wayfinding part of the project, as well as the implementation part for downtown, which we're hoping to do. So I thought it was a good way to get some funding for that.
Evelyn?
So when we did talk about that, we were also, because this sounds like a project ready grant. Whereas what we were talking about with branding and signing is that we were gonna look for a grant to actually like figure out what we wanted to do first, like we're talking about,
I would
they're
apply for that
related,
here
but
as well.
you
So I
would
would say
apply
I
for
would-
that in this
Yeah,
as
so
well?
the idea would be to come up with that wayfinding plan, that branding plan and implementation of signs to have
So
it all
this is
kind of-
eligible
yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
Good, okay, because
That's the
that's
hope
what,
is that we.
that it includes that as well. It's not like this is our plan for this park or whatever have you.
It was
Perfect.
kind of a way to cover that part too, yeah.
Perfect.
And then the chamber is gonna bring it to their meeting tonight for support to kind of partner with us in terms of supporting our local businesses. That promoting local, shop local, like that dynamic will be a big part of it, so I think having the chamber's name on it doesn't hurt.
Evelyn, I think it's your turn for.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, in that case, we should put it out there first. I'd like to make the motion that Town of Smoky Lake apply for the Northern and Regional Economic Development, NRED, grant for support local initiative designed to draw people to the downtown core, including signage, refurbished parks, street furniture, public art, etc., to a maximum town contribution of $50,000, and to collaborate with the Smoky Lake Chamber of Commerce on the application.
Any further discussion? All in favor? And the vote is carried. 8.2, CAO performance review procedure.
So, sorry, I've got a problem.
I gotta change that one now.
So with this, I did introduce a new policy, which was supported at committee of the whole and hopefully approved today. But there was also discussion around budgeting for someone to do this work for us. It sounds like the minimum we're gonna pay for that is gonna be $5,000. I did get quotes and estimates. I'm wondering if it's the year to do that, or if because this could be the last performance evaluation you guys do for me, that we should wait until and budget in 2026. So with the new council, and again, that could be all of you, well, obviously not all of you, but several of you, but to do it then. And then if you let me guide you through the process with the new policy, I can give you some support from that HR standpoint there, to hopefully get, hopefully it'll be a smoother process this time with the new policy. I've already, got it on the agenda for the next meeting to start things rolling if we want to go that direction.
I'd like to make the motion that Town of Smoky Lake issue a request for quotes for a third-party consultant to complete the Chief Administrative Officer performance appraisal and administration bring options back to council for consideration.
Any further discussion?
I'm on the wrong. Like
89. So the options on, I had that initially as the recommended motion because of the previous discussion. But I did switch them because of the cost.
Are we okay? This is the option. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion failed.
Can I make another motion, please?
Yep.
I move that the Town of Smoky Lake Council complete the Chief Administrative Officer's CAO performance appraisal internally and add a CAO performance appraisal to the, I'm not sure if you're gonna have enough time, so do you want it
It's just
December?
the start, no, it's just the start of the process, because in the new policy, it says that I'll bring it forward at least 6 weeks before my performance appraisals due, or 2 months or
So
something.
to the, one of the November meetings of council and to start the process.
All in favor? Any opposed? And carried. All right. 8.3, Committee of the Whole Budget Meeting Date. No?
I'll make motion that Town of Smoky Lake schedule a committee of the whole meeting on Monday, November. No, I'm gonna make a motion that the Town of Smoky Lake schedule a council meeting for the purpose of 2025 capital and operating budget on November 25th at 10 a.m.
And move the council meeting to 1 p.m. on that date.
Yes.
Oh, right.
And to move the regular council meeting to 1 p.m. So, and the only reason I don't know if we need a committee of the whole and like, can't we just have a meeting, budget meeting? For it?
Carrie, did you have a comment or you were just? Evelyn?
Can we please make sure that when we have this meeting that we do not go into closed session? Yes, your recommendation to go into closed session is a good one for the final aspect when we go into it. But I found the government documentation, where is it, that says Alberta Municipal Affairs closed meetings of council on camera. What should not be discussed in a closed session, difficult subjects such as budget deliberations and capital expenditures and tax assessment, mill rates and penalties.
I can clarify on that. Yep. So there was also a letter from Municipal Affairs regarding the resolution that went to Alberta municipalities last year, as I think I mentioned.
You did,
That,
yeah.
so all I want to bring forward is the individual budget line items under the capital. So if you're okay with me now bringing that summary of equipment, and here's a list of what we're replacing, not that this is at this dollar amount and this is at this dollar amount, but that overall summary, then that should be an open. But what they're saying is it gives you that latitude to start the conversation in closed, but our budget will still say equipment replacement in the amount of this amount with these items being replaced, but not how much is budgeted for each one, so that you don't get people bidding on them. So that's the plan. But that's why we had that first meeting in closed, is so you had very clear details on each piece of equipment, because that was what was creating conflict for municipalities, and that was directly an email or a letter directly from Municipal Affairs that there's nothing clearly in there that states that you have to disclose that information, and it's okay to have that a little bit more higher end, so that we're not disclosing for business purposes. But yes, as long as you're comfortable with that, we're good and open.
No. And that's actually why I chose the wording, the council, like just to have a meeting, because it's open to the public. And then if you need details that are in depth, that can't be, then you can quickly zip into close to get the information that you require. But yeah, so that's.
Evelyn?
Just want to make sure, again, because yes, it's not an all or nothing when it comes to closed sessions. That if there's 80% that we can discuss, which is in budget discussions should be, when the public can hear us talking about it. But yes, I do understand that when it comes to that last little section, because of the bidding and because of what people have, then I do understand that. But I just want to make sure, because yeah, it felt like we did a lot of what we discussed in the last one, I felt could have been done.
But that's what I'm saying is I wanted, so the truck, to replace the truck for this dollar amount, right? I want that in that first meeting, because in the next meeting, it's gonna say these 5 pieces of equipment, the capital budget is 500,000. Not this much for each piece of equipment. We need to determine each piece of equipment and the dollar amounts. And I wanted that enclosed so that when we go to a public tender or ask for quotes, they can't watch our meeting and go, oh, they budgeted this amount for that, right? So that enclosed, but now moving forward, unless you need that breakdown per piece of equipment, it can be an open. But that's why I had the first one enclosed, is that breakdown of each piece of equipment was enclosed. So that it's not out there for the public who can now bid that exact dollar amount, which is what all everyone's taught. And that's why that resolution was there. And that's why the response from Municipal Affairs to that, yes, we are okay to keep that piece private and then disclose that overall. And so the way I've broken it down is I've got larger chunks of the capital budget with dollar amounts rather than each piece of every project being broken down. So it will be in open, unless you want to go into closed to say, let's talk about the specific equipment and how much we budgeted for each of these.
And when it comes to organizing the budget, like these budget meetings, that would be terrific if we did it that way, to make sure that we can talk about it there, and then it's not, because rather than go from right at the beginning in the entire meeting, and then at the
It was just it was just the capital budget. It was the only item that was enclosed but shouldn't need to moving forward. But it was the right process, according to Municipal.
All right, I'll call the question. All in favor? None opposed, so carried. 8.4, office closure Christmas Eve.
This is something that It's been typically brought forward in previous years, I think when Christmas lands midweek, not on weekends, that we've often pulled at the office for the afternoon of Christmas Eve. To allow staff to, and with using holidays though. If council wants to consider that.
Marianne?
It's not
Right,
made
right.
this option.
Sure.
Yeah, I just did.
Is this the last one?
Yeah, but I'll take it on.
Carrie.
I'll move that the town of Smoke Lake approve to close the town office and public works on Friday, November 24th, 2024 at 12 p.m. for the Christmas Eve and acknowledge that employees will use holiday time for closure and administration advertising accordingly.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. 8.5 Pumpkin Fair Town Contribution.
No, speak more details on this one now, Marianne, or?
I would like to ask a question at this time. So on page 95, the second paragraph, that the FCSS director worked 8 hours. So I would assume then the Sunday Family Day was an FCSS event?
No, it is a pumpkin fair event that they added, and last year it was run by Rochelle as a director on pumpkin growers. They continued it this year and asked her to work it, so the town supported it this year, which means she gets 8 hours, time and a half. So any staff that work on the weekend, aside from the directors that are paid by Pumpkin Fair, are paid, and that's why I'm bringing it forward is, we are now doing, we had a staff working, I had a staff member work 12 hours on Saturday. I had some work Friday night that wasn't typical. I have staff helping Fridays, but not typically working. All my public works staff were doing, and I think this was a one-off because of the issues they had with volunteers, but we were doing the way off, which then they weren't doing public works duties. So, and then, and Sunday Rochelle's doing was doing the fun day for pumpkin growers. But again, as that town support, we're paying her. So I need to know if council's, it was a bit, I went, I was impressed. It was a great event, but I need to know that council supports that part of the contribution. And then my intention is going back to, and again, I think the helping with the weigh-in and whatnot had to do with a volunteer issue and isn't necessarily the intent moving forward, but I want to make it clear, I don't want my staff having to work more than 8 hours in a day. And I don't want, we can have one person helping with, you know, the forklift and whatnot, helping with the weigh-in, but I really need the other 3 out in the field, dealing with issues, emergencies, changing garbages, helping with whatever needs to be dealt with, would be my comment to, is what I plan on bringing forward on the 29th. And then I need to know if council supports us to do work on that.
Marianne? And again, thank you to prepare this document and to see it. It's a large task on your staff. So I don't know that, we also had the car registration here for inside the building. I don't know if that was accounted or a lot.
So all my staff, one was off this year, but the others.
The use of this building.
They use this building and my staff basically do the administrative support for and have for many years now, I believe, for the car show. We had some concerns with that, but again, it was more the administration side of certain things got a little chaotic, but I'll provide that feedback. I think that's just, it's a massive event and amazing what, you know, our pumpkin growers do. But yes, our staff work in the office and 100% support us.
Mel, you had a question?
You can go ahead and make a motion, then I just have a little discussion.
So I'm gonna, is that okay? And a huge thank you to your team, Dawn.
Yes.
So I'd like to move that the
Amazing.
town of Smoky Lake accept for information the report on the town's contributions to the Smoky Lake Pumpkin Way Off and Fair event held on October through the 4th through the 6th, 2024.
Well,
Yeah, so my only concern is that we have a limited amount of staff and I'm assuming they worked the rest of the week.
Yes.
So we have the entire staff of the town working for 7 days straight.
12 days straight.
12 days straight, some of them, and wait, I'm not done, you just hold that in. So my concern is that we are a small staff. We do want to help them, we just have to find a balance. That's not a balance, that's.
And I did encourage them to take time off.
Yeah, but that's fine. Hold on, but the time they're asking them to take off is taking away from their jobs at the town.
Okay, all right.
Did John work Sunday?
John did not,
Okay,
two
so-
staff did, but not
Right, So
John.
we did not have
Oh,
all of
sorry,
this,
4 out of 5.
no,
Two worked Sunday,
that's right.
All of them
They
worked
did
Saturday.
alternate, they did not all work 7 days a week, they alternated.
there was 2 that worked 7 days.
And 2, yeah, sorry.
I'm just wondering if there is a buy-in from, that we can get some resources from somewhere else. That's all I'm saying. We're a small staff. So I know that the county, some of them, volunteered, I believe. I'm not sure, but I don't know. I don't know what theirs look like. I'm just saying that the burden is quite significant. So we need to reevaluate it a little bit is all I'm saying. I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm saying it's so good for the town. We want to support it. We just might need to reevaluate the amount of it. That's all. My only concern.
Okay. All in favor? None opposed, so carried. 8.6 proclamation list for policy 832-20.
I'm not making it. If we have to list it all.
Ellen,
I'll make a motion that the town of Smoky Lake approve the following list of proclamations and recognitions for year 2025 as per policy A-32-2023. Proclamations: National Volunteer Week, Canadian Mental Health Awareness Month, Economic Development Week, National Public Works Week, Alberta Rural Health Week, Lemonade Day, Seniors Week, Ukrainian Canadian Heritage Day, National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, Métis Week, International Day of Persons with Disabilities. Recognitions: Canadian Agriculture Day, Pink Shirt Day, International Women's Day, Administrative Professionals Day, Day of Mourning for persons killed or injured in the workplace, Pitch-In Week, International Firefighters Day, National Day of Awareness for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls and Two-Spirit People, Red Dress Day, National Police Week, Emergency Preparedness Week, National Indigenous Peoples Day, Pride Month, Canadian Rivers Day, National Drowning Prevention Week, Alberta Cultural Month, Alberta Day, Alberta Development Officers Week, Fire Prevention Week, International Workplace Bullying Awareness Week, Small Business Week, and Family Violence Prevention Month.
favor, Eva? Yes, there's any discussion. None opposed, so carried.
So just before you get into policies, all of these were the ones that were reviewed at committee level. Just so you know that nothing new was added.
Okay. 9.1, policy A-34-2024, honorific naming. No.
I'd like to make a motion that Town of Smoky Lake to adopt an honorific naming policy A-34-2024 for the purpose of establish a framework for council to refer to when considering naming a town asset in honor of an individual's contributions.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Or you want to be opposed?
May I ask some quietness in the audience because I can only hear from my right ear, so I hear whispering from this side and nothing from this side, please. Thank you.
9
To separate these two.
2. Um, 9.2 artificial intelligence policy. Here I am. Barry?
That's Town of Smoke Lake adopt policy A-33-2024-point1, artificial intelligence AI to provide a clear understanding of the boundaries and appropriate use of AI in work.
Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. 9.3. Reserves policy. Marianne?
I move that the town of Smoky Lake adopt policy number FIN 105-2024 reserves for the purpose of ensuring adequate working capital is available for cash flow and contingency purposes as a resource of funding for the town's long-term capital plan.
All in favor? Opposed, so carried. Halloween curfew carried.
That the town of Smoky Lake rescind policy G 7 2023 Halloween curfew and promote trick or treating to take place from 4 p.m. to 7:30 p.m.
All in favor? Anyone opposed, so carried. 9.5, policy 80-22-2023, bylaw enforcement and response to citizen complaints.
Sorry, I'm second guessing myself here. I believe I did this one wrong, so can we defer this one to the next meeting? Because you have to rescind a bylaw, you actually have to rescind it in the same way that you brought it forward.
Oh.
So I don't think we can actually just make a motion, so could we please defer this to the next council meeting?
Evelyn, do you want to make that
Or,
one?
sorry,
Yeah.
never mind,
Yes.
I'm confused by the word bylaw in it. Go ahead, rescind, it's a policy,
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm tired. Sorry, thank you, you caught it, thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, we can't do that, that's why I didn't catch it.
Bylaw.
You're receding the policy about a bylaw, so you're good, never mind. Proceed, thank you.
Okay, I'd like to make the motion that Town of Smoky Lake rescind policy A-22-2023, bylaw enforcement and response to citizen complaints.
All in favor?
Thank you.
9.6, policy number D-05-2024, affordable housing policy. Mel?
I'd like to make a motion, the town of Smoky Lake adopt policy number D-05-2024, affordable housing policy for the purpose of encouraging the development of affordable housing to set a clear guidelines for the planning, approval, and implementation of affordable housing projects to ensure a diverse, inclusive, and vibrant community through mixed income housing developments and to enhance housing stability and economic mobility for low income and moderate income households.
All in favor? No opposed, carried. 9.7, business recognition policy A-30-2024. Marianne?
I'd like to move that the Town of Smoky Lake amend the business recognition policy A-30-2024 for the purpose to set guidelines and standards for presenting gifts of recognition on behalf of the Town of Smoky Lake to local business owners who are celebrating milestones, including but not limited to new business openings, years of service, milestones, retirement of dedicated businesses in our community and or any other special occasion and or organizations as they may arise.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. 9.8, chief administrative officer's performance appraisal policy A-25-2024. Carrie?
That's town of Smoke Lake amend policy A-25-2024, chief administrative officer performance appraisal for the purpose of annual performance reviews as an important part of the relationship between council and CAA.
All in favor? All opposed, so carried. Move to the Evelyn.
Can I just mention that on the request for business recognition, it says person making application, if you could just change that to applicant.
Page
128. The title says person making application. I'm asking if they please change that to applicant.
Mayor's and council reports 10.1. Mayor, councilor, and committee reports. Terry?
I'll move the council hopefully accept for information the mayor, councilor, and committee report items as follows, A to F. Councilor Mel Morton, Deputy Mayor Marian Frosky-Zeritsky, Councilor Evan Copes, Councilor Evan Copes.
All in favor? None opposed? Okay. All right, 11.1's been done. Do
We
need
didn't make a
anything
motion
else?
yet.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Although the auctions already happened, we just accept this information.
Okay. If someone wants to just make a motion to accept. Evelyn?
I'll make the motion that Town of Smoky Lake take no action regarding the request to adjourn the public auction for tax recovery from the property owner located at legal description Lot 2, Block 11, Plan 872 NY in reference to the email dated October 9th, 2024, and proceed with the property in the public auction
for tax recovery. Do we do that, or is there, is this fine? Okay, all in favor? None opposed, so carried. Okay, 11.2, designate handicap parking request. Evelyn? Do you need a motion first, or Mariette? Mel?
Oh, I had discussion too.
I had discussion too, so
Okay, I'll make the motion first, that the town of Smoky Lake purchase and install a handicap parking sign at the Lakeland Primary Care Network PCN building located at 151 Whitehurst Street in Smoky Lake, not to exceed $300 in reference to request by Mary Lou Savick, Primary Care Network Foot Care Nurse, dated October 7th, 2024, to be funded from the 2024 operating budget.
all right, discussion?
No. Okay, so is this a normal practice for it to come to the town? If not, my suggestion would be to the primary care network, primary care network or the professional physicians. I don't even know the name of
The
it.
business owners?
Yeah, you're right.
Huh?
No, the profession,
The committee.
The committee, the principals
It's
and
a professional help. If they
Yeah.
were, well, I think it would come to council because you need to approve the sign installation on your streets, and then unless you wanted to fund the budget back.
the budget is what I'm
Or to
talking about.
PCN,
Yeah.
you could approve it and request that whether it's the committee or a primary care network, covered the services treatments.
Mariette? So based on going out there and looking at this, I see, so Happy's has 2 stalls or 1 stall? Because there's one sign where the stall is at the sidewalk, then there's another sign on the building a little ways over.
I think we had 2 signs with, there's a loading zone with 2 spots, I wanna say in front.
Doesn't identify it as,
But there's 2 signs, I think, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is it 2 stalls?
Yeah, from the sign to sign, yeah.
So my thought on this, if I may, wouldn't, in addition to having a handicap sign, which is probably very feasible for that particular building, would we not also want to incorporate a 5-minute loading, unloading sign as well? Because of the nature of that business, people maybe in winter are not driving, but they're getting dropped off. Sure.
So now I agree with your train of thought. But if we're gonna have a handicap spot, that could be your 5-minute drop off. If someone, say you're a single person and you're going in for treatment, you need more than 5 minutes. So I would say put a 1 hour, 30-minute, 45-minute parking time, instead of a 5-minute, go enough time for a person to park, have a treatment and come out. For those 2 or 3, you know what I mean? Like it's.
Evelyn? So when I go to busier municipalities and there's always wheelchair parking in front of the building, is it the city council that's deciding how many there are, or is this a higher body that determines, like, because Walmart will have like this many, so like, this is why I'm asking, is there that to guide us with, instead of council just comes up with, that's why is there a policy for this that we follow?
I know when you're building new builds, there's some guidelines around how many handicap spots you need to have. We could definitely look into that further and come up with so when a couple years ago, the first request was Pappy's. And then there was a request to meet with the business owners downtown and come up with a plan, but there was no feedback from anybody. We went to everyone and said, did you want to meet? Do you have requirements around parking? And no one did. So we never did anything with that. And then a second request came from the daycare and we approved that, and we approved and paid for both of those. In terms of street parking, again, we could look into if there's some legislation around that. And again, I know when you build a new rec center, I know there is a set amount of handicap spots you need to have. I'm not sure on streets. I'm assuming there's probably something there though that we could look into and then come up with that big picture. Where should we have our handicap sites rather than waiting for requests? Although some are drop-off sites rather than handicap, so.
And the reason why I ask about this, because I'm aware that there's gonna be another request, a similar request coming this direction. So this is why is this something that we can follow, or is this something that we need to create ourselves? Because another wheelchair parking spot request is coming. And to me, it does make sense because when you drive up to a store, I'm always parking over here or over here because those spots are right in front of the door. So that's why I'm asking for clarification to help us in this decision making.
If that's the direction you'd rather go.
There's a motion on the table, yes.
We have a motion again.
I made the motion as per the recommendation.
So
But my question, I'm still kind of confused, is does it belong here or does it belong the financial part to the,
Physicians and healthcare professionals.
yeah,
I don't, I think it belongs to us rather than, actually, I don't know why it would go to physicians. I think that the physician committee is very different and that this is very much a municipal affair. Sorry?
I hear what you're saying and I agree with you 100% if it was $3,000. But for $300, it's our street, let's go with it and it's done.
Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Anyone opposed, it'll be carried. Were you a favor or?
No, I was opposed because I would
Okay.
prefer, because I wanted,
Okay,
I'm gonna,
any opposed? Sorry. All in favor.
I'd like to make a follow-up motion.
Okay. Or
Not as of-
I mean carried, not all in favor.
Okay, and that I would like to request that Town of Smoky Lake admin investigate whether we need to establish a policy for this or not for a subsequent request.
All in
For
favor?
subsequent handicap parking requests on downtown streets. Are you okay with that?
No?
so the motion is for administration to investigate if we need to do that,
Because we just approved this.
which set precedents, so,
So we're gonna get another request.
can we know who the other request is, or we're just waiting, or?
I don't think it was precedent because we have one at the drop-in center.
We have some three, yeah.
We've installed a few.
Yeah.
I think you're fine moving forward with the one, but then bring back whether we should need a policy or clarification.
But it's the
We'll
guidelines
review
to have one.
and bring back information and maybe.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. Letter of support, MNA Energy Award. Terry?
I'll move that the town of Smoky Lake approve action taken to send letter of support to Ron Henderson, Métis Project Manager regarding the Métis Nation of Alberta's nomination for energy relations. Bears Green Gala and award nomination dated October 7th, 2024.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. 11.4. Evan?
I'll make the motion that Town of Smoky Lake acknowledge receipt of the report produced by Michelle Wright Consulting Services dated March 14th, 2024, titled Investment Attraction Strategy Prepared for Smoky Lake County and Funded through the Rural Municipalities of Alberta, RMA Micro Grant Program, in reference to the email sent on October 2nd, 2024.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. 11.5, lyrics and PE report.
Marianne? So, and the reason I wanted to do this section is, I believe Lyric, when we were in Red Deer, he made some comments that we're on time, we're on budget, and was there something else he added to the?
There were some change orders that happened, which are within the contingencies, they're still within budget. But there were a few change orders expected to happen as things move forward. as long as they stay within that contingency.
So do we want as a if I may, Amy, would we want as a council to have him check in with us quarterly just to give us
Yeah.
updates?
Yeah, and I have them in November.
Oh.
We talked about today, but today seemed like there was a lot on our plate and I already had a couple other that we moved, so I expect a lot of delegations again in November. But we have 2 meetings, so, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, so I'd like to move at this time to accept the monthly report prepared by MPE as presented.
Terry, you had one last comment?
Yeah, when you're speaking with Merrick, can you ask him to touch base with the contractor? See how many local people they have employed? Because I was approached by a couple people that sent resumes or called and got no response back for work.
Well, except that the contractor was New Edge, right? Who was the only one that submitted a proposal, so.
It would just be nice to have that information or go, like, just for Merrick, nothing's
Yeah.
official.
Okay.
Just, hey, by chance, did you guys have any local people, how many locals are?
Okay.
Because I believe in our bid package, when we review multiple bids, that is part of the scoring.
We only had one bid.
No,
But yes, I will,
You understand where I'm coming from.
yes.
It is a little specialty though. Yeah.
Labor is a labor.
Labor is a labor, but I'm saying if you
A
have,
co-operator is a co-op.
yeah, well, if you have a co-operator in your company, you're
No,
not gonna
that's
let him
true.
sit and hire a local,
But
is what I'm
that's
saying,
true.
yeah.
But I'll double, yes, I can follow.
Just to put a little bug in somebody's ear that.
Okay, all in favor then? None opposed, so carried. 12.1. Okay,
I'll move the town Smoke file for information, the following correspondence, item A to E as follows. Council Code's recognition of municipal elected leadership certificate, MPE report on regional water progress, update of speed zone amendment, AGLC cameras, casino relocation and letter from Minister Rick Kyber regarding carbon tax.
all in favor?
With the omission of
I need
MP.
12B.
Yeah.
So admit that one, you moved it to 11.
Any opposed? No. All right, carried. Okay, so now we move to the additions or?
Yes.
All right. 13.1 go east. Madam Mel.
I would like to make the motion that the town of Smoky Lake provide a letter of support to the Go East Regional Tourism Organization to accompany their grant application of the 2025 Travel Alberta Rural Development and Promotion Fund for the purpose of obtaining funding, enable the organization to promote the whole region in 2025 via marketing campaigns through summer, fall, and winter. I'd also like thank Marianne for sending the email out ahead of time for your late edition. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. All in, any discussion, I
To
guess?
be clear, we didn't write the report based on this morning's request. We did have it ready, so don't expect that moving forward. If you email that morning or weekend.
No, as
No,
when
I
I'm
agree.
getting ready for my
Yes.
agenda, I really appreciate the heads
Yeah.
up like that.
It's helpful for administration as well to see if there's something we need to pull.
Thank you. All in favor? Not opposed, so that will be carried. And then, 13.2 addition, attached, is it the next one here, attachment?
So we need to make a motion and support the motion by 2/3 vote for reconsideration, the motion for discussion. It's close enough to the motion that was denied previously to extend it, but it's a reduced timeline. They want to do development in February instead of 6 months out, so whether you want to reconsider or not is there for you. We have to do the motion to reconsider before you discuss, if you want.
Yeah. So do we want to discuss, I guess, is the first question, and if we do, then we have to consider and so.
I think it's on the rotation. I move to discuss, I move that the town of Smoky Lake reconsider discussing motion 498-2024 from September 23rd, moved by Councillor Morton that the town of Smoky Lake deny the deadline extension request for your sales agreement of plan number 7820208 block 13 lot 2 in Smoky Lake as requested by the property owner. All in favor of
Just,
that?
I need a discussion on that. I just, so,
First that we can address.
no, just the request. Not the actual discussion on the discussion. The request has changed
Yes, it is
by, from a
3
year.
years. So they wanted an extension of, wasn't the first one 6 months or was it a year?
Are we okay to talk about it?
Can't debate it, but
Yeah.
it's a new request with a shorter timeline of 3 months.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's all I just
Yeah.
wanted to be clear on what the ask
It's not
was.
the exact same
if I
motion
wanted-
being reconsidered, but it's
Yeah.
close enough that I felt we should do a motion of reconsideration.
Okay, all in favor?
Reconsidering the vote.
There you go.
Okay. So now you can discuss it.
Can we?
Yeah, just.
Two-thirds?
One for,
Yeah,
Any
it was
opposed?
for
Mel.
4?
Oh, were you for?
No, the post. She has just.
Oh, sorry, post, yes.
Yeah.
No,
sorry.
no, I thought you voted for.
No,
No,
me and her were opposed. Yeah,
Okay,
we're
sorry.
waiting for
So
votes.
then it's defeated, so that we don't reopen it, so it's done.
Okay. All right, Lydia, or 13.3.
Take a 5-minute break.
It's been long, eh?
Still gonna be a longer day.
Yeah.
So Evelyn, if you wanted to make a motion regarding.
I wanted to make the motion that we purchase flowers for Lydia Sealing. Thanking her for her years of service and collaboration with the town of Smoky Lake.
In the amount of,
Well. What would we for Joe?
the last couple we've done were up to $100. Not to exceed $100.
Yeah. Not fair.
I haven't bought flowers.
You need to spend
Gives you
$100.
three. Yes, it's
Is that what's on the table? Yeah, all in favor? No opposed, or carried, and 13.4. And that would be the development officer, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I just wanted to bring this forward because you see that the ad is advertising this position as a permanent development officer. And I wanted to have a bit of a discussion about it because I do remember discussing this prior to the development officer being hired. That it was an ask from you as a brand new CAO, where you said that you would like to have this assistance because again, this is your first.
No, it's because we wanted to promote development.
Yes, but I also remember how you phrased it that.
No, I have training in development. So I had enough background to sustain us, especially with the support of the county. It was brought forward purely because we wanted to advocate for development. And if we were going to advocate for development, we should hire a development officer. And we agreed on a permanent position based on the quality of applicants you're going to get if you don't have a permanent one. Not to be said that it can't be considered in future budgets, especially through attrition. I do think we're in a position, we considered it, we discussed it. We feel that we need a development officer at least for the next year and a half or 2 years with the development company. And then if we promote more and we say we buy more land or we acquire more land and we want to advocate there and we continue this momentum we have with developing right now, that can't be done with our team internally. It would be my full-time job and using consultants, and we don't have Kyle and Jordan anymore because we own Jordan. So we did consider, you know, that at some point in time down the road, say it was a year from now, if this position became vacant, we would evaluate, should we be going to council saying, is this direction we still want to go? But because we're in the middle of, I mean, we've had second houses going in out of 11, are you close? Or 13? You know, we feel that we need that expertise on in-house to move, just the expertise and moving forward of the, like all the work it takes to action each of these sales is significant. And then the development permits and then overseeing them, it's a huge amount of work. And, you know, we thought he'd be 40% development, he's 80% development and has been since he started. So we didn't even consider it at this point because we're actively pursuing so much development. And that was the mandate of council. We want to advocate for development. We've been successful, but to see this through, we can't see doing it without that development officer.
Okay.
No.
I can also comment on the amount of work that's been done for the MPC by the development officer. There's a lot of, that is a lot more than I've seen ever. So, and I really appreciate the background that comes and the knowledge with it. It makes the job a lot easier for sure.
Okay. So it looks like the assumption was that I was going to say, let's not hire someone. And that's
Oh,
not
I
where
don't-
I was, and that's not where I was going with this. It has to do with comments that you made where you kind of, where do we need to change the position so that there is a contract position rather than a full-time position? And that benefits that were given to a permanent full-time position, we have the monetary value of that and add it to the contract position in order to make it look more attractive. I wanted to ask you if you had considered those different options because, again, I did support you in this, and I'm glad that I did. And I've been out there defending this position, especially when we have people make comment about how many more staff that there is. And I do agree that this is, I don't want to stop what we are already in process of. So no, I was not. But you said that I'm not gonna say the comments out loud, but you said certain comments that I thought we needed to add more money to it, or we needed to do, and this is why, and we've made and again, there's how this position has gone in the last year, like this is where, yes, I'm getting dicey, I don't wanna go in, I would prefer to say it in camera, but I'm not sure what, I can say in camera or whatever. But I want to discuss this position because if we made it a contract, but actually put more money to it, because that person would not be going to conferences or training or professional fees or whatever, it would be a straight contract. Would that be more attractive to hiring somebody, even making it like like you said, it's 80%? Because again, that person would not be doing the extra office duties that have nothing to do with development in the office as well.
I wouldn't want to go that way for a couple of reasons. Again, I think if you have someone on contract, it implies that end, like you hire them for a year is one, okay? So they come in, they aren't maybe living in your community, they haven't committed themselves to this organization. Do you get the applicants that are coming for a job? They're relocating their family, themselves or whatever to move to the community. The other one is legal advice I received at one of the law sessions I attended. I attended an employment law session in Edmonton a few months ago. And they strongly recommended not using contract. We actually shifted our FCSS to an employee rather than a contractor. Because of the legal implications, if you have a 1-year contract and you terminate that position, even if it's with cause, there's a lot of success with getting paid out that contract because you've hired them for that timeline. So with that advice at that session, we actually shifted more, and I'm not saying any position because there's some that we're looking at contracting more of a business, for instance, if we had to change certain things, and like if eventually say our custodians leave, do we need a position or do we hire a contracted business? That's different though, you're hiring a business, right? But as an employee, that was the advice from Reynolds Mirth was not to go that route, or that it wasn't that not to go that route, there was risks of going that route of having to pay out the full contract. But I think you get more buy-in, and I think that's what I brought forward when I brought forward this position initially. You get buy-in when you hire an employee. I mean, that can still change. You can reorganize an entire organization and say, bring back some recommendations on efficiencies and how to cut certain costs and to make these changes. And, whether it's paying employees out or giving notice or whatever it might be, that happens all the time. So it's not like this couldn't change down the road if you did have someone and you did, like, hopefully we maintain our development and our town is growing and we're growing 5% every year. We say, hey, let's keep the development because now we got this land and now we've acquired this land and it helps us grow and become that much bigger, right? But if not, and we become stagnant, again, the idea being eventually if somebody was to resign, say in 2 years and we're done developing and there isn't more development, maybe we choose not to replace that. Was the our thought.
Marianne? So, and thank you, John. Just to add to that, I think maybe what would speak in favor of that is a year to date, like have we increased our development permits, what we've issued?
We've sold 26 lots.
Okay.
So
But-
I think that speaks for itself.
Right,
Um,
okay.
Yeah.
But so having that on paper and collecting that data, so when we have the reports, we don't, the development officer doesn't present it that way as an increase over last year. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm speaking on
Yeah,
behalf
and
of.
there is a motion to bring back the town-owned properties to update that in 2020. Like that in there, so he can update, and I believe there was another one on the number of households in town, and you'll see that increase in those kinds of, so more in that year-end report in terms of here's our increase kind of thing. And I have seen a lot of municipalities where you report on the number of development permits that come in each month. We could definitely add that to that report to ensure that, but again, you're starting the data right now, right? Rather than, we could look up the data from the last 5 years and start and do some reporting. I think that would be valuable because I think it would really show where we're at. So yeah, we could definitely say even from 2020 to now, this is where we were at the last few years and this is where we're at now.
And in terms of, if I may, in terms of leveraging what capacity we have to build from and then to show the increase, I think that data is important, especially as this council being in our last year, just to be able to draw from that information.
Yeah.
If you could, so do you want me to phrase that in a motion or?
Yeah. Sure. Annual reporting on or monthly.
I'd like to move that administration prepare a development report of permits issued and the type of permits that are issued over the last 5 years to a future meeting of council.
All in favor? Opposed, carried. Evelyn?
And thank you for making that motion. I just wanted to and then what my final question was when it comes to a development officer is that during the organizational meeting on a yearly basis, we used to pass a motion for Joan to be the development. What's it called?
The development authority.
The development authority. So.
Yeah, I think it's covered within the development officer bylaw.
And okay. So you're saying that it's covered under the bylaw, but I also see that development officers are considered to be, the term, that's on our financial statements. Yeah. And we don't, and again, we don't have a bylaw in place for that lists what, who those officers are. I know that I've asked you, but we don't actually have it in a designated officer bylaw because I believe the volunteer fire chief would be that, a development officer. I just want clarification on that because we do not have a designated officer bylaw and that bylaw would help me understand. And then, of course, this is coming up because when it comes to our financial statement, it always says designated officers and then there's all these amounts. So that's why I've asked, who is it that's getting this money? Because it's generic, there's no names beside it.
No,
CAO, yes, but that's what it is. So that's where, again, when it comes to a development officer, you're saying that's covered by a bylaw. I've already mentioned in the previous meeting. So.
Can we call a break? And then we could find that. I think some of us need some stuff and that for it.
So can we finish this and then go for, you know where I'm saying right now, because that's what I.
Can I gather more information to make sure that I have all because I don't have everything here, right? So, we have the bylaw and we've designated him as an officer. So until that changes, I don't know that we need to reappoint, but let me because he's our development officer, but if you can let me take that away and verify some details. I don't want to make stuff up. I only
No,
state things when I know.
and I
So I would
would-
like to just double check the designated bylaw and whatnot, and then bring it back to a future meeting if you're all right with
I'd
that.
like to make that motion.
The motion on the table. I got, right?
Are you-
No, it's for you, but I was just.
If you want.
I'm gonna go get some right away. Yeah.
They're gonna leave.
Oh, you need Tylenol. I thought you said food.
I'm gonna need some pills.
All right, all in favor of the motion? No opposed or carried.
I gotta leave liquid gel.
I don't do mixture, Advil and Tylenol.
We're doing it.
Show me,
Five minutes.
I need like a 15 minute.
I don't know, 3.
Call the meeting back to order at 5 o'clock. And we'll now move into closed session. No?
I'll make the motion that the town of Smoky Lake go into closed session to discuss the following matters pursuant to the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, FOIP. At 5 o'clock, FOIP section 16, property sale, disclosure harmful to business interests of the third party. Legal communications, FOIP section 27, privileged information. Legal, MCC, FOIP section 27, privileged information. Personnel, FOIP section 17, disclosure of harmful to personal privacy.
All in.
And-
So, recycle it.
Sorry, one more, two more.
Development 14
Oh.
Development. For,
Legal, 27.
FOIP 27 and the FOIP section 27, privileged information for the water commission.
Okay, we'll see you at 7 o'clock.
Wait.
Oh, don't fall.
Wrecking the place.
All in favor?
Sorry, guys, hold on.
That's what I.
I'll move to my vote.
All in favor? None opposed, carried. All right, we'll have the first 14.2, property sale. Yep, go ahead.
I'd like to move that the town of Smoky Lake proceed with the sale of the town-owned property located at 5306 43rd Street in Smoky Lake, Alberta, to Dr. Ariane Esterhusen in the amount of $295, less payment made in the amount of $25,000 for the net purchase of $270,000.
All in favor? None opposed, okay, carried. Now 14.3, Mel?
I'll make a motion that the town of Smoky Lake accept the communications received on September 16, 2024 from Tim Garmel, president of Bloom Center for Municipal Education as Information.
All in favor? None opposed, carried. Carried.
I'll move the town of Smoky Lake accept the update on the Municipal Control Corporation and Smoky Lake Tourism Corporation as presented.
All in favor? Everyone are in favor? So which purple one was this, the legal communication? No,
Yeah, legal MCC.
I get the legal MCC?
Nope, you get the light purple one, the one you have in your hand.
This one?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that the town of Smoky Lake amend covenant number 072-124-711 to allow the development stipulated by development permit number 020-2024 and include a clause with an indemnity in favor of the town for any claims arising from this development.
All in favor? None opposed? Carried. 14.6. So do you want to take, yeah, yours go 7? Oh, no,
Just
okay,
sorry,
sorry.
order. I move,
0.7 then.
okay, yeah, I'd like to move to accept the verbal report. Verbal update on the Highway 2863 Water Commission.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. And then 14.6 was accept information.
No, 14.6 was done. 14.5 is we didn't do 14.5.
Oh.
To the end. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, okay, 14.5 personnel. In light of the information provided In closed session, the town of Smoky Lake decided to suspend Councillor Crowe from Community Futures meeting until the November 25th regular council meeting. In order to gather more information, and an email will be sent to the board of the community. All in favor? None opposed, so carried. And meeting is adjourned at 6:24.
6:24.
Yeah.